You're listening to the Acadiana's Morning News Podcast, brought to you by LABI and always on KPEL965.com.
Cancer and actually beating it. You feel like you've just come out of the woods, only to discover you're about to go over another cliff. Hi, I'm Kathy Bates, and as a 2-time cancer survivor, I can tell you nothing prepared me for the challenge of lymphedema, a chronic disease often brought on by cancer treatment that compromises the lymphatic system and leads to a lifetime of severe swelling and pain. Lymphedema, LE, affects more Americans each year than AIDS, Parkinson's, MS, muscular dystrophy, and ALS combined. Yet with proper treatment, it can be managed or even prevented. That's why I urge everyone facing a cancer diagnosis to be your own best advocate. Discuss LE with your doctor before undergoing surgery. With patients and doctors working together, we can learn and live. Learn more at lymphaticnetwork.org.
The entire world watched.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And humanity saw that the sky was not the limit. Achievement. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Bro Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios, online at matthew-james.com.
A slow slog out of the desert. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. A lot of muddy people are making their way home after a couple of extra days stuck at the annual Burning Man event in Nevada on roads now open and dry enough to use.
Monsoon rains on Friday and through the weekend led to flash flooding, closing roads around Burning Man. And the Pershing County Sheriff's Office confirmed that they're investigating one death that was reported during the rain event. Officials haven't provided many details about the death, but said the victim's family has been notified. Organizers say that mobile cell trailers have been placed around the event to boost cell signal. Sanitation trucks are now running to ensure portable toilets are clean and that the contracted firefighters and EMS workers will now remain on site for 2 extra days.
Fox Weather's Max Gordon. There's intelligence that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un plans to travel to Russia this month to discuss supplying weapons for Russia's war with Ukraine.
These potential talks come not long after the Russian foreign minister attempted to get North Korea to sell artillery to Russia. U.S. officials are urging Kim's government to stand by a pledge to not give Russia ammunition to sustain its war.
Fox's Gernal Scott. First Lady Joe Biden said to be experiencing mild COVID-19 symptoms, testing positive at the end of the 3-day weekend.
She did not return to the White House from Delaware with President Biden, who was tested negative and will continue to be tested. Monday afternoon, the president spoke to union sheet metal workers in Philadelphia at a Labor Day event where he courted union support and said his economic policies are working, citing lower inflation rates and job growth. The president is scheduled to leave for the G20 summit in India on Thursday. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
And today, President Biden scheduled to award the Medal of Honor to Vietnam veteran Captain Larry L. Taylor from Tennessee. August recess is over for the Senate. Congress has until the end of the month to work out a deal to avoid a partial government shutdown. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
President Biden's education secretary is getting into the back-to-school groove.
Over the next few days, Education Secretary Miguel Cardona is hitting the road for the back-to-school bus tour. The Education Department says the multi-state road trip is meant to show how the bar is being raised in education and showcase the work of the Biden-Harris administration. The first stop will be in Kansas, where the secretary plans to take a look at teacher diversity, access to higher education, family engagement, and connecting online. Other stops include Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, where he's expected to look at issues like how pandemic relief funds are being spent on schools. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Israel's prime minister is threatening to deport African migrants after a bloody brawl.
Loud protests and even louder bangs as police fire stun grenades in Tel Aviv. The unrest was between two sets of migrants from Eritrea, some who support the government there and others who oppose it, after the streets were stained with blood and littered with debris. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling for all those involved to be removed from Israel immediately and going further, suggesting thousands more illegal entrants from Africa should also be eventually deported. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
College football, Duke fans stormed the field in Durham, North Carolina after the Blue Devils upset 9th-ranked Clemson 28-7, taking the lead for good with Riley Leonard's third-quarter 44-yard touchdown.
He's able to break a tackle and get the first down and more. Leonard inside the 20, stiff arms a defender inside the 5 and into the end zone. It's a touchdown. What a play by Riley Leonard. One of the best plays of week 1.
Call there on ESPN. Is the first time that Duke has beaten Clemson since 2004. It's the first time Duke has beaten a team ranked in the top 10 since 1989. Stock futures are down ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street, and I'm Chris Foster, Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning, I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. Officials fighting the Elizabeth fire in Rapides Parish have sobering news for those wondering why the wildfires are continuing to go even after a rainstorm. According to the fire behavior analyst, they would need 4 to 5 inches of rain to relieve the severe drought. State Ag and Forestry Commissioner Mike Strain is asking for the public's help to find the suspect accused of starting the Tiger Island fire, the largest wildfire in Louisiana history in Beauregard Parish. Strain says the arson caused wildfire, devastating and damaging property and structures.
More than 31,000 acres have been set on fire, resulting in loss of property, loss of homes, and cost millions of dollars fighting this. And it's not over. Arson is a crime. This is a felony.
The Tiger Island fire began on August 22nd and is only 55% contained. While no details were provided on exactly how investigators believe the blaze started, Strain urges the public to help find the culprits.
Damage to more than 20 homes and structures. 6 were totally lost in the area. We are making arrests in the fires that are caused by arsons and by negligence. So please give us a hand because we have to stop this.
Now, Strain says the fire is unprecedented. He says the wildfire forced the evacuation of 1,200 people from the town of Maryville and placed lives at risk.
Louisiana Forestry Association is offering a $2,000 cash reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction of the person or persons responsible for this.
Well, the opening weekend of high school football was marred by a fatal shooting at the Bruley-Port Allen game on Friday night. Sergeant Landon Groger with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office says during halftime, 18-year-old Jerriton Jackson II shot 16-year-old Jacoby Queen only a few feet away from the concession stand.
It is my understanding that there was an altercation that occurred between these two. Before details that led up to that horrifying event, it's unclear at this time.
Queen was a student at Bruley High School. A 26-year-old woman was also shot in the arm. Groger says it was a senseless act of violence at one of the biggest events of the year in West Baton Rouge Parish, the Sugarcane Classic.
And everybody was looking forward to coming out underneath these Friday night lights. You know, not only were there students and teachers there, but man, we had families, children, staff, and just our community coming together as a whole.
Groger says they'll work to make sure football games and other public events in West Baton Rouge are safe, but he says it's a bad situation when an 18-year-old feels a need to bring a gun to a high school football game.
It starts in the home, you know, with the parents and discipline and and being involved in your faith-based groups.
The West Baton Rouge school system says it will have increased security at future games, and trauma and grief counselors will be at the school today. Jackson was arrested yesterday and booked for second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. Narcan, a drug used to reverse opioid overdoses, will be available without a prescription this week on Wednesday. LSU Health New Orleans Chief of Community and Population Medicine, Dr. Benjamin Springate, says Narcan is an important tool to counter the opioid overdose epidemic, but the cost is what could end up being a factor.
There are opportunities to receive distribution from sometimes fire stations or other public-facing health facilities, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for people to come up with $45 and pay that out of pocket.
Now, the suggested retail is that $45 a carton, which has the 2 doses of the nasal spray. While Springate admits he's not sure if the over-the-counter availability of Narcan will make a dramatic difference.
I think every opportunity to increase the availability of Narcan is going to make some difference, and I think that we want to look at it as another tool in the toolkit, but it's not a cure-all.
Now, some health insurers will cover the cost or a portion of it when it's prescribed. Besides individuals who are at most risk for an overdose, Springate says others should also consider purchasing the Narcan.
If you have someone in your life who's, potentially going to be at risk of overdose, they're using drugs, you're not sure which drugs, it's worth having some on hand.
If you do have to administer Narcan, know that vomiting or seizure-like activity is a potential side effect. So roll the person on their side to prevent choking, call 911, and stay with them until help arrives. Game week has arrived for the Saints as they host the Tennessee Titans Sunday. New Orleans only has 2 home games in the first 6 weeks of the season, so getting a win on Sunday is important.
I think anytime you get a chance to start off fast and hopefully stack some wins together early on in the season, when you're going to face some adversity, you're going to face some injury issues as the season wears on, banking a few wins is always good.
Now, the Titans went 7-10 last season. They started 7-3, but finished the season on a 7-game losing streak. Mike Vrabel is entering his 7th season as the head coach in Tennessee. And Allen says you know what kind of game you'll get when Vrabel is on the other sideline.
The ball's going to get thrown down the field to some elite receivers, and we're going to have to make our share of plays down the field.
You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
All right, so meteorologist Daniel Phillips says we can expect partly cloudy conditions today. Your rain chances sit at 40%. That should be mostly for the morning time. We have a high of 94 degrees as we go through your day today. Tonight, clear conditions with an overnight low in the mid-70s. And then tomorrow begins to heat up again as we have highs approaching triple digits, but it's not projected to get quite up that high. But rain chances sitting at 20% tomorrow. Your extended forecast, partly cloudy, slight risk of showers Thursday and Friday. Expect that hot weather once again, rain possible for the weekend.
News Talk 96.5, KPEL, right now, traffic.
And looking at what's going on right now in traffic, we do want to remind you that school zones will be going into effect shortly. Also, we do have something popping up, 1300 block of the Evangeline Thruway. That's all we're getting is a 1300 block of Evangeline Thruway. We also want to let you know that there are some traffic closures that are beginning today on Johnson Street and on the Evangeline Thruway. Now, the Evangeline Thruway traffic closures are going to begin tonight, but the the Johnson Street traffic closures, that is going to start at 7 a.m. this morning. So you've got some traffic closures, Johnson Street from Maurice to Aqueduct Drive, and Johnson Street from Touchette Road to Maurice will have intermittent lane closures today and tomorrow between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. This is where the J-Turn project is. So please be mindful about those areas, and especially as you begin your commute back to work this morning. Yes, it's that time of the year again, back to school shopping. And with inflation, we know it hasn't gotten any cheaper. Here's how we want to help you out. Download the KPEL News app and click on Hall Pass Cash, and you could win a $500 prepaid Visa gift card. Just follow the assignments to earn points and increase your chances to win. We're making back-to-school shopping better with All Pass Cash. Brought to you by Acadiana owned and operated Mattress Gallery, located on Kali Saloom across from River Ranch. From selection to delivery, it's Mattress Gallery. Good morning, Acadiana. Welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como, Mark Pope here with you on this Tuesday edition of the show.
Wait, good morning. But I thought it was Monday.
I know, it's going to feel like that all week, man. I think the only day that's going to feel like normal this week is Friday.
Yeah.
Because there's no denying that Friday feeling, especially during football season.
Oh, look, I got to say it before you get to it, Brandon. I said it first. Da-da-da-da-da. It rained.
Yeah,
it actually not just it started with a sprinkle,
right,
and then it actually turned into real rain.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go out and dance in it, but I was too tired because I'd been doing things. But it was very nice.
It is nice, and last night I was getting the family together, and we were going to run a few errands about 6:00, and all of a sudden there was a breeze, and it wasn't like a hot breeze; it was kind of a semi-cool breeze. I looked at my wife. I was like, "Is this with the false fall? Is this our false fall?
Yeah,
coming in already." And then this morning when I woke up and walked outside, getting slapped in the face with the humidity reminded me, yes, it's still very much summer.
Yeah.
And then you look at the temperatures going ahead, and you got 98 tomorrow is the projected high.
Mm-hmm.
Today is a mere 94.
Yeah.
So we're getting back into the into those hot temperatures, but it's the light's going to be, it's at the end of the tunnel with the heat. It's coming, Mark. We'll be okay. We're in September. It's we can't have a brutal August like we just had. I refuse to accept that.
Yeah. Well, let us hope. I was reading about the whole El Nino thing, and golly, it's so complicated. But bottom line for winter, cooler and wetter. That's for us in South Louisiana. Good. And it's different up in the Northeast and so on and so forth.
We don't
in
care
Canada,
what happens with them.
They went through all, but I read all that. And, look, really, I mean, it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fascinating with all the ocean currents and the jet streams, meaning the air.
Mm-hmm.
I was, I had to go back and read it again. It was so doggone complicated. But, yeah, like you said, bottom line for us down here in the Deep South, it will be, according to this projection that I read, and it was very scientific, cooler and wetter for the winter.
Nice.
Well, I can live with that.
Yeah, I can live with it as well. No doubt about it. It's been nice to see the rain coming in, and it's starting to feel a little bit more normal now, as opposed to just the heat every day. So, we got to talk a little football before we jump into our first interview for today, which you got some great interviews lined up throughout the show today.
USL.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. That's LSU spelled backwards.
Okay.
Man, those boys, Lord. They had a 17-14 lead. They went in. It was 7-0. It was tied at 7, tied at 14. LSU, I think, last play of the first half, kicked a field goal to go into the locker room with a 17-14 lead.
And then the bottom fell out.
And then the bottom fell out. They dropped 3 passes. One of them was Lacey, who I do believe is the speed demon.
Yeah.
And Lacey, it hit him in the hands. It hit him but he took his eyes off the ball, and he looked down the field, and he dropped the ball. And there were 3 of those. Just almost picture-perfect passes that were dropped, and then they just fell apart.
And, most people are talking about that game because the negatives tend to overshadow the positives. And with LSU being on that negative side, they garner a lot of discussion and how people were disappointed. That being said, Cajuns took care of business against Northwestern State at home. Boy, you were here till at least midnight, I'm sure.
Yeah, we were here till midnight.
Yeah.
And
But Cajuns taking care of Northwestern State as people, I think would you say it was a little bit more impressive of a win than you thought that they would put out there?
They got on track and they played good. All around, they pretty much did well. There were some areas where they needed to improve, but for a first game, yes, it was a good game.
Well, they had turnovers early on, which was they got to clean that up.
That's three turnovers in the first half, none in the second half. But the reason that the game went till midnight, they moved it from 6 to 7:30 because of heat, and then lightning was detected, quote, in the area. So they started pretty much a little bit minutes before 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then there was not another weather delay, but there were a couple of delays with injuries. Nothing serious, as best I can recall. But so, yeah, the game did go. It ended about 11:30-ish, 11:35, something like that. Yeah.
So Cajuns will be taking on Old Dominion. This one will be in Norfolk, Virginia. Where on Friday we were talking to the athletic administration that was coming in, and they were talking about looking forward to that Old Dominion scenery, which is going to be beautiful in Virginia, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've seen the stadium, not in person, but through pictures. It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But they are coming off of a similar score, but they lost to Virginia Tech. So I don't know what to make of that. So we'll see how these two teams match up, where they had different kinds of opponents, being one AA versus 1A, if you will. So I think the Cajuns will get their first test, obviously, their first significant test this weekend as they take on Old Dominion on the road.
And speaking of powerhouses playing lesser teams, Oklahoma, who will be coming into the Sun Belt Conference.
No, SEC.
No, SEC, I'm sorry, yes. Oklahoma into the SEC next year. Oklahoma absolutely walloped upside the head the Arkansas State Red Wolves 73-0.
Yeah.
Yes. Whoa.
Okay, now how about Texas State, though? Taking on Baylor and beating Baylor.
That
was big.
Yeah.
Texas State is like the team with the third most transfers, first-year transfers. By the way, you know who number one is?
No.
Colorado. Neon Dion, prime time,
yes,
Coach Prime.
Neon Dion.
Because they pulled off the massive upset over TCU. It's a Colorado team that won one game last year. One game.
It's a heck of a start for the Buffaloes, and we shall see. But it's always an interesting year as you're early on in the season. And, of course, the New Orleans Saints begin their official season this coming Sunday in the Dome against Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans.
Yep, there you go. So should be an interesting year. And high school football kicked off. We had a good game with UNI with LCA on Friday.
The stats.
So
eight touchdowns for the LCA quarterback.
That was incredible. Jawan Johnson.
Yeah.
Boy, he's an athlete. Maybe UL can get a hold of him.
Well,
who knows?
He's
committed elsewhere.
Yeah, he's committed elsewhere. Although I think he decommitted, but no, he's I don't think he's going to stay local.
He's got the feet, he's got the arm, he's got the head.
But he's going to actually play the next level in the secondary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As amazing as a high school quarterback he is, he's going to play in the secondary.
Yep.
So, anyway, we do have to cut the football talk a little bit short because we do have a great guest coming up, Miss Carol Trosclair. We hear from her every year at this time about the kinesiology scholarship, her story about her son. We're going to talk with her about that, and we're going to talk with you about how you can help one lucky student at UL coming up.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Depend on it.
KPEL News Time is 6:26. You're listening to Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como, Mark Pope, and we're joined by a couple special guests here in studio this morning. Carol Trosclair and Kermit Duyon joining us to talk about the David Trosclair Memorial Kinesiology Scholarship Fund. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
No, we always enjoy having you guys in here, and it is that time of the year now where we have this great fundraiser. essentially. And I know you'll explain a little bit more, Miss Carol and Mr. Kermit, but let's talk about, the fundraiser and why y'all are doing this.
My son David accidentally passed away while a senior majoring in kinesiology at UL. UL asked me if he could establish a scholarship for David. I said, yes, thank you so much. What an honor. They said it is, and there's no money in it, and it's up to you to fund it. So we've turned it into a community scholarship, and it is a community-wide scholarship. For $10, if you buy a $10 ticket, you get to go 6 places as a thank you gift from me and from kinesiology. You get to go 6 places and get something free.
Yeah.
Such as in September, if you go to Todd's Car Wash, you'll get a free $30 turbo wash. If you go to Judy's Inn, the best burger in town, in September, you'll get a free hamburger or cheeseburger of your choice. In October, if you go to Rev Coffee, you get a free coffee and tea and any pastry in their pastry counter, free. Or if you go to Tropical Smoothie, which any location, you get a free flatbread inside. In November, if you take it to Roly Poly, you get a free Roly Poly. And in November, a free loaf of bread of your choice from Great Harvest. Hey, win-win.
Yes.
For your $10, you can go get something free.
Okay, so, but let me just to be for clarity, and we don't want to be accused of false advertising. When you go to one of these places, the first one is September, you get a $30 turbo wash. When you bring the one ticket in, you leave the ticket.
Yes.
Okay, so that's it. So you don't use one ticket for 6 places.
That's
if you want to go to all 6 places, buy 6 tickets. Even better, buy the 10-pack. Buy the 10-pack, and then you can bring your ticket to Todd's Turbo Car Wash. You can also get your free burger at Judy's Inn because, once again, you bring the one ticket for the Turbo Wash, and you're going to leave it there. That one ticket's gone. So you wouldn't, if you want to use it for all 6 of your other great sponsors, buy 6 tickets.
And what's so great too is you can go as many times as you want. You just have to give them a ticket each time you go. If you want a car wash every week in September, buy 4 tickets. If you want 5 burgers, buy 5 tickets.
That's right.
There's no limit to how many times you can go.
So where do you contribute to a good cause which helps the young kids and helps the tuition? And at the same time, you're getting your money back. Plus, I mean, you're at $30 car wash, and what did you pay? You bought a $10 ticket.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are giving way more back. That's what's amazing about this fundraiser.
We have 5 places to pick them up. You can go to Travel Machine Travel Agency. I'll say that twice for the Travel Machine Travel Agency. Or you can go to Hardy's Dry Cleaners. They have 4 locations in Lafayette: Youngsville, Maurice, Lafayette. Hardy's Dry Cleaners or Travel Machine, and you can get your ticket, or you can call Carol at
255-8155. I hand deliver, unless you prefer to come to me to my office, which is on the corner of Audubon and Coolidge in the oil center. But 255-8155. I'll make it real easy. I'll deliver, or maybe I'll get you to deliver, Kermit.
Sure. Be happy to.
Now you can tell them about the custom design vacation for 2 that they could win.
I was going to say, we're building to that. I do want to get you to talk about the VIP ticket book first, though. Can you touch on that?
So these tickets you can buy that we were just talking about. You can buy one for $10 or a book for $10.
Yes.
The VIP, you have to buy a book of 10, and it's $100, and there's a free $25 off a restaurant each month. So it's a gift that keeps on giving all year long.
Yeah.
For the $100, you're getting $250 worth of discounts at 10 top restaurants in Lafayette.
That's incredible. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the big prize. So if you buy a ticket, you're eligible for the big cruise prize. Am I correct on that one?
Well, it's actually whoever buys the most tickets, sells the most tickets, or makes the biggest donation. So last year, a gal sold 50 books of tickets to her friends, and she won the custom design vacation for 2.
50 books, wow.
From Travel Machine.
Yes, from Travel Machine. There you go.
That's it. So you get, like I said, custom design. When you go, where you go, what you do, it's all about you. You just sit with Kermit, and he'll custom design it for you.
Look, I've used Travel Machine before. When me and my wife went to Jamaica for her 30th birthday, and y'all do a great job.
Well, you're still married, right?
I am still married.
Okay, so we're successful.
Yes. She still talks about that trip to this day, as a matter of fact.
We'll take credit for it.
How many years have you been doing the scholarship program?
We've been doing it since 2011 because what we raise, we give each year. These students need the scholarships this year. So what we raise, we give it away, and I'm back at it every year because I have no money to give. UL has 1,200 students majoring in kinesiology, all desperate for a scholarship. So I'm back at it every year. The more I raise, the more we can give it. And when I say I give, it's UL kinesiology and UL scholarship committee that chooses the winners and all that.
I'll tell you, as someone who took kinesiology as my minor, that is a challenging field.
Well, that's it. It's a hard curriculum, and you can't work 40 hours a week and get the kind of grades you need to go on because you need to go on.
Absolutely.
So they're so grateful for these scholarships because it helps them to concentrate on school and be in leadership, do community service, all those things you need to do to get into grad school.
Yeah, it is. All right, y'all, want to leave us with anything as far as the contact information before we let you go?
Yeah, call me, Carol, 255-8155, or look me up on Facebook, Carol Trosclair. We'll hand deliver. Or like Kermit said, you go to Travel Machine, you can buy them there, or any 4 locations of Hardy's Cleaners. Win-win. We appreciate your listeners' support so much.
There you go. All right. Thank y'all so much for spending some time with us this morning. We'll take this quick commercial break. We've got news, weather, traffic all on the way. News Talk 96.5 KPL broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at matthew-james.com.
Your 24/7 news source on air, online, and with the KPL News app. Now the headlines from the KPL News Center.
Good morning, I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. The family of a Lafayette man have alerted authorities he's been missing since August 30th. He's 55-year-old Nelson Mutah. They say he was last seen in Breaux Bridge. He was wearing jeans, a solid gray shirt, and a hat. Anyone with information should call the Breaux Bridge Police Department. Acadiana Regional Coalition on Homelessness and Housing is hosting a public discussion this week. The first State of Homelessness Forum is set for this Wednesday, September 6th. It'll be at 6 p.m. at the Acadiana Center for the Arts. State Ag and Forestry Commissioner Mike Strain is asking for the public's help to find the suspect accused of starting the Tiger Island fire, the largest wildfire in Louisiana history in Beauregard Parish. Strain says the arson caused wildfire, devastating and damaging property and structures.
More than 31,000 acres have been set on fire, resulting in loss of property, loss of homes, and cost millions of dollars fighting this. And it's not over. Arson is a crime. This is a felony.
The Tiger Island fire began on August 22nd and is only 55% contained. While no details were provided on exactly how investigators believe the blaze started, Strain urges the public to help find the culprits.
Damage to more than 20 homes and structures. 6 were totally lost in the area. We are making arrests in the fires that are caused by arsons and by negligence. So please give us a hand because we have to stop this.
Now, Strain says the fire is unprecedented. He says the wildfire forced the evacuation of 1,200 people from the town of Maryville and placed lives at risk.
Louisiana Forestry Association is offering a $2,000 cash reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction of the person or persons responsible for this.
Well, the opening weekend of high school football was marred by a fatal shooting at the Bruley-Port Allen game on Friday night. Sergeant Landon Groger with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office says during halftime, 18-year-old Jerriton Jackson II shot 16-year-old Jacoby Queen only a few feet away from the concession stand.
It is my understanding that there was an altercation that occurred between these two. Before details that led up to that horrifying event, it's unclear at this time.
Queen was a student at Bruley High School. A 26-year-old woman was also shot in the arm. Groger says it was a senseless act of violence at one of the biggest events of the year in West Baton Rouge Parish, the Sugarcane Classic.
And everybody was looking forward to coming out underneath these Friday night lights. You know, not only were there students and teachers there, but man, we had families, children, staff, and just our community coming together as a whole.
Groger says they'll work to make sure football games and other public events in West Baton Rouge are safe, but he says it's a bad situation when an 18-year-old feels a need to bring a gun to a high school football game.
It starts in the home, you know, with the parents and discipline and being involved in your faith-based groups.
The West Baton Rouge school system says it will have increased security at future games, and trauma and grief counselors will be at the school today. Jackson was arrested yesterday and booked for second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. Narcan, a drug used to reverse opioid overdoses, will be available without a prescription this week on Wednesday. LSU Health New Orleans Chief of Community and Population Medicine, Dr. Benjamin Springate, says Narcan is an important tool to counter the opioid overdose epidemic, but the cost is what could end up being a factor.
There are opportunities to receive distribution from sometimes fire stations or other public-facing health facilities, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for people to come up with $45 and pay that out of pocket.
Now, the suggested retail is that $45 a carton, which has the 2 doses of the nasal spray. While Springate admits he's not sure if the over-the-counter availability of Narcan will make a dramatic difference.
I think every opportunity to increase the availability of Narcan is going to make some difference, and I think that we want to look at it as another tool in the toolkit, but it's not a cure-all.
Now, some health insurers will cover the cost or a portion of it when it's prescribed. Besides individuals who are at most risk for an overdose, Springate says others should also consider purchasing the Narcan.
If you have someone in your life who's, potentially going to be at risk of overdose, they're using drugs, you're not sure which drugs, it's worth having some on hand.
If you do have to administer Narcan, know that vomiting or seizure-like activity is a potential side effect. So roll the person on their side to prevent choking, call 911, and stay with them until help arrives. Game week has arrived for the Saints as they host the Tennessee Titans Sunday. New Orleans only has 2 home games in the first 6 weeks of the season, so getting a win on Sunday is important.
I think anytime you get a chance to start off fast and hopefully stack some wins together early on in the season, when you're going to face some adversity, you're going to face some injury issues as the season wears on, banking a few wins is always good.
Now, the Titans went 7-10 last season. They started 7-3, but finished the season on a 7-game losing streak. Mike Vrabel is entering his 7th season as the head coach in Tennessee. And Allen says you know what kind of game you'll get when Vrabel is on the other sideline.
The ball's going to get thrown down the field to some elite receivers, and we're going to have to make our share of plays down the field.
Plaquemine Parish deputies were surprised when they arrived at a Dollar General store in Burris. They found a giant alligator waiting outside the doors. Deputy Tony Palisamo said that they took the picture of the 6-foot alligator in the sheriff's office, posted it right to the Facebook page. No one was expecting it. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Should be a fairly quiet morning out there. It is very sticky. A lot of moisture left over from the showers yesterday. And a little later on in the day, I wouldn't be too surprised to run into another round of scattered showers. Temperatures getting up to about 94 degrees later on today. Heat index a little bit closer to 100. Winds coming from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. A little drier, a little hotter, though, as we make our way through the middle parts of the week. Could be back in the triple digits by Thursday. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, so want to thank Winky Dinky Dog for letting us know about what was going on the Evangeline Thruway. It's southbound, just past Pinhook. The right lane was blocked due to a stalled vehicle. There was a police car on scene. I'm reporting it still because it is still popping up on the traffic report, but it may have cleared by now. Just keep that in mind if you're approaching that area.
This is that ice cold Michelle fight for that white gold. This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpieces. Stylin', wildin', living it up in the city.
KPEL News Time is 6:45, and welcome into Acadiana's morning news. And we started off our show here with I think a woman that inspires a lot of people, Miss Carol. Mm-hmm. The death of her son, which dying just way too young. And, she keeps his name alive by going out every year and helping to raise money for that scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it, which impacts students and changes their lives.
Sure. No, she works very, very hard at it. And, likewise, when her son was in the kinesiology department at UL, he worked very hard. In fact, one of his, we did that. It was Carol Trosclair and Brian Campbell, who's a professor in the kinesiology department, was in, and he said, David Trosclair was one of my best students.
Yeah.
He had a 3.9 grade point average.
Yeah.
And what is that, 1B or something like that in your whole
pretty much
4-year career? And he was a senior. And it had to do with some complications with medications as to why he passed. So, just very unfortunate, and she works very hard. And you're right, and it benefits a lot of students over at UL, Brandon.
Yes. And again, as someone who took kinesiology as a minor, they were some of the most challenging classes that I had in my time there.
Yeah.
And I actually had Dr. Campbell's class. I had his wife, or one of his wife, one of her classes. And, it was challenging, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Like I say this, like Dr. Campbell's class was fun. Like he was able to bring to life, the human body essentially with the muscles and all that.
Right.
And, which was something that, some people say, well, why'd you minor in it if you didn't really enjoy it? Because I was about to say, I wasn't much of a science person in school. I was more math and history and English and stuff like that. But, I took it because I wanted to have a better understanding of the human body. And there was actually one class that was about early childhood development, which is great, in becoming a parent and such. But he took a subject matter to me that was kind of like I didn't have a massive interest in, and made it so interesting. And so he is, I actually took 2 of his classes. I forgot I had another class with him. Just a phenomenal professor. And so it's cool because he's passionate at what he does. And when you combine his passion with Miss Carol, and then you got Mr. Kermit in there, I mean, that's like a dream team right there for that scholarship.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So get your tickets. Bottom line, you can call Carol. They were just in, I know, but some people just joining us now. She can tell you there's a couple of places where you can go buy the tickets. She will deliver the tickets to you. You can go to her office. So her number, of course, 337 area code 255-8155. That's Carol Trosclair, 255-8155.
So I'm sure you heard the news over the weekend about Jimmy Buffett.
Yes.
Passing away.
Yes.
Very sad. I know it's a situation like when these things happen, sometimes it just kind of catches you from out of the blue. But then when you start reading more about his health and how it had been declining, it's not surprising.
Right.
But someone that really had a good reputation, not obviously just for a song that people love to drink to, but someone that, enjoyed performing, and people really, the connection with him and his fans, it seems like, was really cool.
Yeah. I was never a huge fan. I know he was talented and it appealed to a lot of people. I was just not a huge fan. Like I said, I'd hear the song on the radio. Okay, it's Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
But as far as buying albums and wanting to go see his concerts, that didn't fit me. But there were many millions, I think you can safely say, that were huge Jimmy Buffett fans, kind of like the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
I was quite young when they were huge, but anyway, they just never appealed to me in all those years. But he was definitely a good entertainer, and a lot of people enjoyed what he did.
He hit a certain niche with his music.
Yeah, he did.
He hit in an area where you may have some artists dabble into that kind of a life. He just took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, I guess, the country version of the Beach Boys, maybe. I don't know.
It's a good way to put it.
They both hit in that area.
Yep.
But he did it a little bit differently than the Beach Boys did, and made a lot of money doing it.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And I don't know, I would ever say that I quote unquote took him seriously, like some of the maybe other country artists, but he found what he was good at and went at it. And for that, I gotta say that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, he had a musical career that I think many people would dream of.
That's correct.
And so there's a really cool story about him on the website that our friend Bruce Michaels down the hall wrote. about his secret donations finally being made public, and talking about his giving the USS Alabama Battleship Memorial Park, all kinds of cool stuff. So you'll want to check that out for sure. All right, KPEL News Time is 6:50. We'll take this quick commercial break. Your Kim Commando Digital Morning Minute coming up.
Over the Labor Day weekend, the New York Police Department tried something new. Before sending officers out to complaints about rowdy backyard parties, they first sent out the drones to take a look. All of this raises the age-old question. Is this constitutional? I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. Okay, too many toss around phrases like unconstitutional without knowing much about the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment prohibits the government, federal, state, or local, from unreasonably searching your property. But is a drone hovering over your house a violation of your privacy rights? The answer is maybe. Sometimes, but probably not in this case. Your neighbor would have a hard time justifying while they're hovering over your backyard. But if the police receive a call about a loud party and shoot a drone over for a look-see, in this case, the courts will probably side with the police. Hey, get tech smart every single day over at getkim.com.
All right, KPEL News Time is 6:54. So, all right, coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, we have a little combo of Monday and Tuesday coming at you because we're going to speak with Trooper Thomas Gosson as we usually do on Tuesdays. And then at 7:30, we're going to have the president of the Better Business Bureau, Chris Babin, join us. So we're going to spend some time with him. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll get a double dose of the BBB because we're going to have Bridget Trevino stop by featuring a local business as they're going to talk about their award show that is going to be coming up and how you can be a part of it and how business can be a part of it. So we'll spend some time doing that as well. So we got a lot to talk about on today's show. We will go ahead and take this final break of the 6 o'clock hour. Your Fox Business Report is on the way. We've got to look at national headlines with Fox News, state and local headlines with Bernie, and we'll be right back.
Live and local every day in Acadiana, and the only place you can voice your opinion on your favorite KPEL shows. We're your home for news and talk in Acadiana. This is KPEL.
The Fox Business Report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Goldman Sachs believes it's now less likely that a recession will start in the U.S. in the next 12 months. Economists are citing retreating inflation and the labor market holding up. They've lowered the possibility from 20% to 15%. Goldman Sachs expects gradual interest rate cuts starting next spring. China's property developer Country Garden made its interest payments on bonds in U.S. dollars just hours before the deadline. Reuters says the payment pulls back the business from the brink of default. Danish biopharma company Novo Nordisk nudged ahead of luxury brand LVMH to become Europe's most valuable company. The biopharma company makes the diabetes and weight loss drug Ozempic. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Starting August 22nd, the U.S. dollar may have new competition from a new global supercurrency backed by Russia and China. And if the dollar plummets, your retirement could follow. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, Get a free info kit on gold by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. I encourage you to act before August 22nd. Text SHELTER to 989898 to get your free information kit on gold now.
I'm Hannah Como, and I'm here with my husband, Brandon. We are so passionate about helping marriages grow and succeed. And as a licensed marriage and family therapist, I know the importance of investing in your relationship.
We believe that a good marriage is the foundation of a healthy family. We also understand that marriage is hard, and the challenges that we face in today's society are different from those of the past. Our goal is to help you navigate those changes and to gain the skills to build a better marriage together.
Listen in weekly to The Modern Marriage to help you create the marriage you have always wanted. Sunday evenings from 5 to 6 p.m. here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios, online at matthew-james.com.
Russia. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, according to U.S. and allied intelligence, plans to travel by train to Russia this month to discuss selling ammunition to Russia for its war with Ukraine. Florida House Republican Mike Waltz on Fox.
They can provide thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds that will allow Russia to stretch the war out in Ukraine.
He's on the House Armed Services, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations Committees. An impeachment trial in the Texas State Senate starts today for Attorney General Ken Paxton.
31 senators serve as jurors. It will take 21 of them to convict and remove him from office, though Paxton's wife, who is a senator, cannot vote. While Paxton is facing a number of legal issues, including a securities fraud indictment that's now 8 years old, this impeachment trial centers around allegations he helped a wealthy developer avoid a federal investigation and foreclosure on his properties. In exchange, this developer, Nate Paul, donated to Paxton's campaign, renovated part of his house, and helped him see his girlfriend, though Paxton is married. People in Paxton's office went to the FBI as whistleblowers over his alleged conduct.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. There's damage to the Great Wall of China, blamed on lazy construction workers.
Officers alleged 2 people were trying to create a shortcut for their construction work, and no ancient World Heritage site was going to get in their way. Police say the 38-year-old man and 55-year-old woman used an excavator to create a gap wide enough for the machine to pass through. They've been detained after causing what's described as irreversible damage to the safety of the cultural relics. The Great Wall of China was built and rebuilt on a continual basis from around 220 BC until the Ming Dynasty of the 1600s. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The annual Burning Man event is wrapping up in Nevada 2 days late. Tens of thousands of people who've been stranded by heavy rain, making roads impassable, are now slowly making their way out. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close, or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
First day of public school in Philadelphia today will be a short one.
Schools in Philadelphia will close early today and tomorrow due to forecasted scorching temps. City pools, whose seasons normally end after Labor Day, will remain open both days.
I'd rather be in the cold, freezing cold, but not be in the sun.
Today's scheduled opening of schools in several southeastern Michigan school districts is being delayed due to the high temperatures there. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
President Biden's back at the White House after a 3-day weekend. First Lady Jill Biden staying back home in Delaware, having tested positive for COVID-19. Their spokespeople say she has mild symptoms and the president has tested negative. Weekday water taxi service shut down over COVID. Resume service in Chicago.
Daily commutes in downtown Chicago getting better today as the city's water taxi service gets back up and running again, with a lone boat making stops between the West Loop and Michigan Avenue 3 days per week. A Tuesday through Thursday schedule during rush hour. The boats ran only on weekends in 2021 and 2022 after the COVID scare sent typical river commuters into work-from-home mode. Water taxi service is expected to stop in late November and restart in spring. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Forecasters expect Tropical Storm Lee to form and become the next Atlantic hurricane by next weekend. It's way too soon to tell if it might affect the U.S. or anywhere else. The singer-songwriter Gary Wright died. He was 80 years old and had Parkinson's disease and Lewy body dementia. His biggest hits on his 12 albums are Dream Weaver and Love is Alive. He grew up in New Jersey and died at his home in California, according to his sons. He was a child actor, made his first commercial recording in 1959 and got big in the 1970s. I'm Chris Foster. This is Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning, I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. Officials fighting the Elizabeth fire in Rapides Parish have sobering news for those wondering why the wildfires are continuing to go even after a rainstorm. According to the fire behavior analyst, they would need 4 to 5 inches of rain to relieve the severe drought. State Ag and Forestry Commissioner Mike Strain is asking for the public's help to find the suspect accused of starting the Tiger Island fire, the largest wildfire in Louisiana history in Beauregard Parish. Strain says the arson caused wildfire, devastating and damaging property and structures.
More than 31,000 acres have been set on fire, resulting in loss of property, loss of homes, and cost millions of dollars fighting this. And it's not over. Arson is a crime. This is a felony.
The Tiger Island fire began on August 22nd and is only 55% contained. While no details were provided on exactly how investigators believe the blaze started, Strain urges the public to help find the culprits.
Damage to more than 20 homes and structures. 6 were totally lost in the area. We are making arrests in the fires that are caused by arsons and by negligence. So please give us a hand because we have to stop this.
Now, Strain says the fire is unprecedented. He says the wildfire forced the evacuation of 1,200 people from the town of Maryville and placed lives at risk.
Louisiana Forestry Association is offering a $2,000 cash reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction of the person or persons responsible for this.
Well, the opening weekend of high school football was marred by a fatal shooting at the Bruley-Port Allen game on Friday night. Sergeant Landon Groger with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office says during halftime, 18-year-old Jerriton Jackson II shot 16-year-old Jacoby Queen only a few feet away from the concession stand.
It is my understanding that there was an altercation that occurred between these two. Before details that led up to that horrifying event, it's unclear at this time.
Queen was a student at Bruley High School. A 26-year-old woman was also shot in the arm. Groger says it was a senseless act of violence at one of the biggest events of the year in West Baton Rouge Parish, the Sugarcane Classic.
And everybody was looking forward to coming out underneath these Friday night lights. You know, not only were there students and teachers there, but man, we had families, children, staff, and just our community coming together as a whole.
Groger says they'll work to make sure football games and other public events in West Baton Rouge are safe, but he says it's a bad situation when an 18-year-old feels a need to bring a gun to a high school football game.
It starts in the home, you know, with the parents and discipline and being involved in your faith-based groups.
The West Baton Rouge school system says it will have increased security at future games, and trauma and grief counselors will be at the school today. Jackson was arrested yesterday and booked for second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. Narcan, a drug used to reverse opioid overdoses, will be available without a prescription this week on Wednesday. LSU Health New Orleans Chief of Community and Population Medicine, Dr. Benjamin Springate, says Narcan is an important tool to counter the opioid overdose epidemic, but the cost is what could end up being a factor.
There are opportunities to receive distribution from sometimes fire stations or other public-facing health facilities, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for people to come up with $45 and pay that out of pocket.
Now, the suggested retail is that $45 a carton, which has the 2 doses of the nasal spray. While Springgate admits he's not sure if the over-the-counter availability of Narcan will make a dramatic difference.
I think every opportunity to increase the availability of Narcan is going to make some difference, and I think that we want to look at it as another tool in the toolkit, but it's not a cure-all.
Now, some health insurers will cover the cost or a portion of it when it's prescribed. Besides individuals who are at most risk for an overdose, Springgate says others should also consider purchasing the Narcan.
If you have someone in your life who's, potentially going to be at risk of overdose, they're using drugs, you're not sure which drugs, it's worth having some on hand.
If you do have to administer Narcan, know that vomiting or seizure-like activity is a potential side effect. So roll the person on their side to prevent choking, call 911, and stay with them until help arrives. Game week has arrived for the Saints as they host the Tennessee Titans Sunday. New Orleans only has 2 home games in the first 6 weeks of the season, so getting a win on Sunday is important.
I think anytime you get a chance to start off fast and hopefully stack some wins together early on in the season, when you're going to face some adversity, you're going to face some injury issues as the season wears on, banking a few wins is always good.
Now, the Titans went 7-10 last season. They started 7-3, but finished the season on a 7-game losing streak. Mike Vrabel is entering his 7th season as the head coach in Tennessee. And Allen says you know what kind of game you'll get when Vrabel is on the other sideline.
The ball's going to get thrown down the field to some elite receivers, and we're going to have to make our share of plays down the field.
You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Your news update brought to you by Home Furniture Plus Bedding. Over 40,000 furniture and mattress choices in stock and ready for delivery. Home Furniture Plus Bedding. Welcome home.
Should be a fairly quiet morning out there. It is very sticky. A lot of moisture left over from the showers yesterday. And a little later on in the day, I wouldn't be too surprised to run into another round of scattered showers. Temperatures getting up to about 94 degrees later on today. Heat index a little bit closer to 100. Winds coming from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. A little drier, a little hotter, though, as we make our way through the middle parts of the week. Could be back in the triple digits by Thursday. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
Taking a look at what's happening on the roadways right now. School zones in effect. That's the main thing going on. All the other crashes have cleared, so that's good news. Other than that, though, we do want to remind you about Johnson Street, where all the J-turn construction's happening. Between Maurice and headed towards Johnson's intersection with Ambassador Caffrey. You have some intermittent lane closures that are happening in that area right now. So they've just now started about 15 minutes ago. It's going to happen all day today and into this evening. So please be mindful of that, as that may affect your morning commutes. Your national anthem is brought to you by Hulco Printers, serving Acadiana since 1972. Buy local, shop local, support Acadiana.
To honor America and perform our national anthem, please welcome 3-time Grammy winner, Pink.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we marched, were so gallantly streaming, and the
I actually got a tear in my eye on that one. I got to be honest with you, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
That pink rendition of the national anthem, I know people laugh at the name, but man, that's one of the best ones. I like it more and more every time I hear it.
Oh yeah, Pinky can belt it out now. There's no doubt about that.
Pinky?
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna have a dumb name, we're gonna play word games with it.
Oh man! And again, I saw. I think what kind of elevated it for me a little bit more was seeing the story behind it and how she had been fighting the flu and stuff going into it. But man, it was good. It's a really good version. It gets better every single time we play it.
Hits that patriotic bone.
It does. KPEL News Time is 7:19. This is Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como, Mark Pope here with you. 7 o'clock hour on a Tuesday. No, it's not Monday. It is Tuesday, which means it's time to speak with, our favorite trooper. We've got Thomas Gosson on the line right now, headed out to North Vermilion High today. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
We're good, man. So what's happening today? You going to speak to the kids?
Yeah, we have a class here. I'm here with Dana Ortego with the Injury Prevention out of Oshner Lafayette General. So several schools, they have a difficult time getting to the hospital if they're farther out. So we make accommodations and we go to the campus and meet with them. So we'll be here several weeks knocking out. We do about 30 kids at a time to go through the program. It's a lot more effective if you're in a smaller group, we find.
Right. So talk a little bit about the program. What is it that y'all are teaching the kids?
Well, we take the sophomores who are basically just learning how to drive, and we try to just instill those good habits in them. And it's not just talking about law; it's talking about the consequences and the long-term effects of making that bad decision behind the wheel. Mm-hmm. So, we talk about distracted driving, impaired driving, with seatbelt usage and why you wear your seatbelts. And when they see the whys as to everything, not just because we told you so, when they see the actual ramifications of doing the wrong thing behind the wheel, it makes such a big impact on how they, make decisions. Right. And that's the point, and that's the key. So that's our sophomore year. Junior year, we do a mock crash, and the senior year, we do a mock trial with the judge and attorneys that will argue the case from the prior year crash. And those are all student actors who were involved in that crash. They get to see a peer going through the process, and it does make an effect.
I bet it does. So let's talk about for the licensed drivers, especially the adults that are jumping on the Basin Bridge. We put out a story over the weekend giving an update about that. I know you wanted to address that as well.
I did. I saw Bruce Michaels had put out an article, kind of an update to it. And, one of the things he said was that the cameras weren't probably going to be operational until the end of 2024, which is, I'm sure accurate. But what I need drivers to understand is that the fines are still in place now. So we do have troopers, and I see St. Martin Sheriff's Office working speed control up there as well as Iberville. Those fines are in place. So when you do the math on that, 80 miles an hour, you're talking about 13 minutes as opposed to saving 5 minutes. That equals, with a $300 fine, and it may even be more. I think it actually is more than $300. You're talking about a minimum of $150 per minute that you're going to basically be paying. I know my time's not that valuable, but, I just hope people kind of heed those warnings and just slow it down.
Well, these speed cameras, is that something that's really going to be welcomed by law enforcement as a help to you guys?
Look, if it slows everybody down and prevents fatal crashes like we've had in the past, I think it's a good thing. And I think that's the whole point of the cameras, is to slow everybody down and get everybody to do what actually they're supposed to be doing. That's the whole point of a ticket, is to change behavior. That's what they're trying to do with that. So hopefully it works. I'm very optimistic about it. Hopefully it works, is all I can say.
Whenever they finally get them installed, it's amazing. This thing passed like a year, if not 2 years ago, and we're talking about the end of 2024. I hate to say it, but man, that's like typical Louisiana for you. I swear.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna go with the no comment on that one, Brandon. Y'all can discuss that once I hang up.
And I'm not saying that as far as rooting for the cameras to be up. It's just kind of comical how long this thing has taken. When originally, it was like, okay, let's hurry up and get it.
I think they wanted something. Yeah, I think they wanted something done. A lot of some community members were pressuring the legislature because of the crashes and the shutdowns that we were having. So, they did what they thought was best and passed something. And hopefully we can just iron out the details sooner rather than later.
There you go. All right. What else do we want to talk about today? I know there's some other traffic issues you want to touch on.
And I'm not in studio. I think I haven't been in studio I think 3 weeks, right? I was in Oklahoma 2 weeks ago, unable to go. We attended a Kids in Motion conference, which is basically child seat information, newer products coming out, just kind of updates to things that are out. So a good learning opportunity right there. So. One of the things that I picked up right there, though, is and it's something that we probably never think about is, when you're if you're pregnant, and I'm talking about, full term or bigger, you need to make sure that you're wearing that seatbelt properly. And what I mean by that is that lap belt needs to be, and that's one thing one of the presentations was about. It was about how to wear that seatbelt properly and instruct, expected mothers how to do that. And it's to make sure that lap belt is below the belly, below the curve of the belly. It's not just on the belly, on the bottom of the belly, below it. So really making sure that happens. There are some devices out there that they really don't recommend you use that kind of hold that lap belt lower in place. Again, it's not something that's really recommended, and I don't see a whole lot of them anymore, but I know that they used to kind of push that in the past. But wearing that seatbelt properly is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was one of the takeaways we got from there. And last week I was actually flying on a more of a personal trip, and so I wasn't able to call in. But we started our the campaign actually ended Monday night. Drive sober, get pulled over campaign, and unfortunately, state police, we have not worked any fatals over this campaign period. There were some fatals that occurred in the area. I think Iberia had one. I heard reports of maybe Lafayette having one. I'm not really positive on that, but that's a good thing. And for me not to have any fatals to talk about is great.
That's true. We are coming off the Labor Day weekend, and we didn't get any reports from you guys on any crashes.
No, so I'm very, very happy to report that. Hopefully people heeded the warning if they were out there drinking and not getting behind the wheel impaired. So that's some really good news.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, can we talk about a traffic issue that I've been wanting to talk with you about for a while? It's and the terminology. I'm sorry if I don't use the right terminology, but you know where I'm going with this. When you have people that are like, I'm trying to think how to say this. If you have a median and you have that gap in the median where you can go ahead and turn, and people not staying in the right lane to make that turn over to the other side. Like an example I can think about is coming out of Rouse's in Youngsville, and you got to cross over from Rouse's to get over to the other side of the lane. And what happens a lot of times is you have people that they're going to make the turn and they don't stay, they hug the curve as opposed to staying in the right lane. So I hope I'm painting an accurate enough picture for people to understand what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about, but I feel like sometimes when I'm doing that, it's like a lot of times people just naturally want to hug that curve instead of doing it the right way. And there are some drivers that get upset about it.
I'm not sure I follow you on that, Brandon, but look, let's kind of just keep it in general terms. When you're driving, you have to drive with due regard. You can't, number one, you can't, stop basically the flow of traffic, right? Stopping in a lane illegally, blocking traffic, kind of scooting in and just stopping everybody. You're not supposed to be doing that, number one. Number two, you're supposed to be yielding to the oncoming traffic. While you're supposed to yield to oncoming traffic, as oncoming traffic, we also have to drive with due regard for everyone's safety, meaning people on the roadway, cars in the roadway. If I have time to stop, I must react and stop. Right. You can't just drive with no regard for anybody, whether they're in your lane or not. So, that being said, I did have somebody ask me a question that kind of changes what you're asking, but maybe next week you can better describe that to me in person. Yeah. But somebody asked me, about the stop lines at an intersection, the white line at an intersection.
Yeah.
You know, remember when we had the red light cameras, there were a lot of tickets that went out because people would pull up to that line, pass that line, maybe stop, maybe not, and then, you know, proceed right on a red light, which you can do. But the key is that if there's a white line, you got to stop before the white line. Once you come to a complete stop, if it's still red, now I'm not talking about a red arrow because we definitely see that happen a lot, especially on the new J turns in Lafayette when you're coming off of, let's say, 733 or E. Broussard wanting to turn onto Johnson Street, or you can take a right, but not at that red light because it's an arrow, and it specifically states on there, no right on red.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, huh?
You know, so but if it's a red light, just a round circle red light, once you come to a complete stop, then you can roll slowly forward, make sure everything's clear, and then you can proceed on and make that right turn. But you got to stop behind that white line, and that's the key here. That you must stop. Failing to do so, it would be basically improper stop. Yeah. So, you know, I know we kind of talk about that, and that's kind of basic, but it's amazing how many times we just take for granted those little things that we learned in driver's ed that, you know, we just kind of overlook them and take them for granted, and we just don't follow those rules to the T like we should. And that's what makes these roads a little bit less safe.
Yeah. Thomas, I'm going to follow up with what Brandon said because it is an excellent point. Right in front of our station, you got Bertrand Drive. You got two lanes either way. And somebody, rather than staying to the right, and they want to make a U-turn basically, rather than stay to the right, they go to the left. And then so somebody coming from the other direction, instead of staying to the right, they have no choice but to enter that little break in the boulevard or the neutral ground, if you will. They have to go to the left. And so what happens is the intersection, the break in the boulevard or the median is taken up by two cars. And I have seen cars, you have no turn lane. I have seen cars stop saying, oh, I want to turn around here, and I can't. So I'm just going to stop here in this lane and wait till I can get into that break in the median.
I got you.
And look, I should have phrased it better by saying, basically it's talking about how to turn in a median.
Yeah.
That's the best way to
and so
phrase it.
The point being, that is a wreck. That is a disaster waiting to happen because you're sitting there. You're not in a turn lane. You're in one of two moving lanes, and you're stopped saying, well, I want to also turn around. And so proceed past that blocked break in the median. Proceed past it and take the next available. Like you said, what are you going to save, 2 or 3 or 4 minutes as opposed to taking a risk? And it is a substantial risk of getting rear-ended by somebody coming up behind you and not paying attention.
I agree, Mark. I don't like stopping in traffic. If I have to go down a little ways to turn, I will do that as opposed to stopping in traffic. You know, whenever those cars in the median that are making that turn, a lot of times we see people turning short. In other words, if I'm going to make that U-turn, instead of I'll hug the shoulder closest to me as opposed to going to the far shoulder, which I should, that'll clear my view of oncoming traffic in the opposite direction. I see a lot of people turn short, and then somebody else has to now turn short. So now they're blocking each other's view of oncoming traffic from the opposite direction. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so you know, taking that fore turn, again, that's something that we learned as basic drivers, but yet we overlook that. You know, we take it for granted, or some people just don't know. They forget that law or that rule of making that wide turn to see that traffic is not blocked. Also, they'll pull into that lane with their nose, but then the tail of their vehicle stays in that travel lane, that inside travel lane, and now you're blocking travel from the back. Even forgetting people stopping in the lane, you yourself didn't pull up far enough, you know? Yeah. And that's really just not being spatially aware around your car. You know, look at the front of the bumper, go as far up as you can without encroaching onto that oncoming lane. That'll clear the back in most intersections.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
I knew we would stumble into it, but I didn't phrase it correctly. Just basically, I should have said how to turn in a median. So I knew we would eventually get there. It took a while because I didn't explain it properly. But Thomas, as always, man, appreciate you playing clean up on that, and for all the great information you provide as always, man.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
All right, KPEL News Time is 7:32. We'll take this quick break. Bernie's got a look at news coming up. Eat Lafayette 2023 shines a year-round spotlight on Lafayette's locally owned and operated restaurants. And now through September 10th,
you can find Eat Lafayette deals offered by some of the participating restaurants. News Talk 96.5 KPEL is proud to be a sponsor of Eat Lafayette and the Digital Passport. Download the Eat Lafayette Digital Passport today so you can check in when you eat at a participating restaurant. Each check-in will enter you to win airfare and a trip for two to Savannah, Georgia, courtesy of Wings Travel. Just go to kpel965.com and click on the Eat Lafayette link at the top of the page. Eat Lafayette from Lafayette Travel and sponsored in part by News Talk 96.5 KPEL. News Talk 96.5 KPEL broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at matthew-james.com.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning, I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. The family of a Lafayette man have alerted authorities he's been missing since August 30th. He's 55-year-old Nelson Mutah. They say he was last seen in Breaux Bridge. He was wearing jeans, a solid gray shirt, and a hat. Anyone with information should call the Breaux Bridge Police Department. Acadiana Regional Coalition on Homelessness and Housing is hosting a public discussion this week. The first State of Homelessness Forum is set for this Wednesday, September 6th. It'll be at 6 p.m. at the Acadiana Center for the Arts. State Ag and Forestry Commissioner Mike Strain is asking for the public's help to find the suspect accused of starting the Tiger Island fire, the largest wildfire in Louisiana history in Beauregard Parish. Strain says the arson caused wildfire, devastating and damaging property and structures.
More than 31,000 acres have been set on fire, resulting in loss of property, loss of homes, and cost millions of dollars fighting this. And it's not over. Arson is a crime. This is a felony.
The Tiger Island fire began on August 22nd and is only 55% contained. While no details were provided on exactly how investigators believe the blaze started, Strain urges the public to help find the culprits.
Damage to more than 20 homes and structures. 6 were totally lost in the area. We are making arrests in the fires that are caused by arsons and by negligence. So please give us a hand because we have to stop this.
Now, Strain says the fire is unprecedented. He says the wildfire forced the evacuation of 1,200 people from the town of Maryville and placed lives at risk.
Louisiana Forestry Association is offering a $2,000 cash reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction of the person or persons responsible for this.
Well, the opening weekend of high school football was marred by a fatal shooting at the Bruley-Port Allen game on Friday night. Sergeant Landon Groger with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office says during halftime, 18-year-old Jerriton Jackson II shot 16-year-old Jacoby Queen only a few feet away from the concession stand.
It is my understanding that there was an altercation that occurred between these two. Before details that led up to that horrifying event, it's unclear at this time.
Queen was a student at Bruley High School. A 26-year-old woman was also shot in the arm. Groger says it was a senseless act of violence at one of the biggest events of the year in West Baton Rouge Parish, the Sugarcane Classic.
And everybody was looking forward to coming out underneath these Friday night lights. You know, not only were there students and teachers there, but man, we had families, children, staff, and just our community coming together as a whole.
Groger says they'll work to make sure football games and other public events in West Baton Rouge are safe, but he says it's a bad situation when an 18-year-old feels a need to bring a gun to a high school football game.
It starts in the home, you know, with the parents and discipline and being involved in your faith-based groups.
The West Baton Rouge school system says it will have increased security at future games, and trauma and grief counselors will be at the school today. Jackson was arrested yesterday and booked for second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. Narcan, a drug used to reverse opioid overdoses, will be available without a prescription this week on Wednesday. LSU Health New Orleans Chief of Community and Population Medicine, Dr. Benjamin Springate, says Narcan is an important tool to counter the opioid overdose epidemic, but the cost is what could end up being a factor.
There are opportunities to receive distribution from sometimes fire stations or other public-facing health facilities, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for people to come up with $45 and pay that out of pocket.
Now, the suggested retail is that $45 a carton, which has the 2 doses of the nasal spray. While Springate admits he's not sure if the over-the-counter availability of Narcan will make a dramatic difference.
I think every opportunity to increase the availability of Narcan is going to make some difference. And I think that we want to look at it as another tool in the toolkit, but it's not a cure-all.
Now, some health insurers will cover the cost or a portion of it when it's prescribed. Besides individuals who are at most risk for an overdose, Springgate says others should also consider purchasing the Narcan.
If you have someone in your life who's, potentially going to be at risk of overdose, they're using drugs, you're not sure which drugs, it's worth having some on hand.
If you do have to administer Narcan, know that vomiting or seizure-like activity is a potential side effect. So roll the person on their side to prevent choking, call 911, and stay with them until help arrives. Game week has arrived for the Saints as they host the Tennessee Titans Sunday. New Orleans only has 2 home games in the first 6 weeks of the season, so getting a win on Sunday is important.
I think anytime you get a chance to start off fast and hopefully stack some wins together early on in the season, when you're going to face some adversity, you're going to face some injury issues as the season wears on, banking a few wins is always good.
Now, the Titans went 7-10 last season. They started 7-3, but finished the season on a 7-game losing streak. Mike Vrabel is entering his 7th season as the head coach in Tennessee. And Allen says you know what kind of game you'll get when Vrabel is on the other sideline.
The ball's going to get thrown down the field to some elite receivers. And, we're going to have to make our share of plays down the field.
Plaquemine Parish deputies were surprised when they arrived at a Dollar General store in Burris. They found a giant alligator waiting outside the doors. Deputy Tony Palisamo said that they took the picture of the 6-foot alligator in the sheriff's office, posted it right to the Facebook page. No one was expecting it. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Your news update is brought to you by Home Furniture Plus Bedding. They have over 40,000 furniture and mattress choices in stock. Take a look at homefern.com.
Should be a fairly quiet morning out there. It is very sticky. A lot of moisture left over from the showers yesterday. And a little later on in the day, I wouldn't be too surprised to run into another round of scattered showers. Temperatures getting up to about 94 degrees later on today. Heat index a little bit closer to 100. Winds coming from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. A little drier, a little hotter, though, as we make our way through the middle parts of the week. Could be back in the triple digits by Thursday. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, taking a look at what's happening on the roadways. We do have a crash, Benoit at Gourmet Road. That's Benoit at Gourmet. Also, we have a crash, Evangeline Thruway at Bellot. That's Evangeline at Bellot. And we do have a stalled vehicle popping up. This is on Pinhook Road, near its intersection with General Mouton Avenue.
When I wake up in the morning, love.
All right, let's let the confusion continue, because it's 7:44 on Tuesday, and instead of me and Mark continuing on with the show ourselves, it's going to feel like a Monday because we've got Chris Babin here with the Better Business Bureau of Acadiana joining us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, but it feels like a Monday.
Yeah. Tomorrow will feel like a Tuesday,
but we know it's
Wednesday.
Not a Monday.
Yeah.
Right,
It'll be
okay.
better than a Monday because it is a Tuesday, which means we're another day closer to the weekend, which means
That's
we're another
it.
day closer to more football.
That man, we were just talking about it.
Absolutely.
We filled the whole break with it.
There you go. So, all right, what do we want to let our listeners know about today?
So from the 70560 postal code,
okay,
this gentleman received a check in the mail asking him to deposit it, send a little bit of it elsewhere,
okay,
and that he'd be able to keep that amount, that the difference. It was an $8,900 check.
Okay.
He didn't specify how much they wanted him to send elsewhere, but typically this type of fake check or overpayment scam is, say $9,000. They're going to want you to send $7,500 somewhere. You can keep $1,500. Now, the thing to be worried about in this situation, first off, is who sends you a random check with a bunch of money, right?
Yeah, of course.
So you never know if you could be getting involved in illegal activities, if it could just be some type of fake check, which we do see a lot of, that's not going to clear your account. So what they're hoping you do is deposit it, send some money elsewhere. A lot of times there's some type of narrative associated with it. I need to pay this guy to do this. You're able to keep this amount for helping me out. I'm not there. I'm out of town. Can you give him the cash for it? You can meet up with him here, that kind of thing. But the odd thing about this one, and the reason I chose it, was they actually got a follow-up text message from somebody asking if they received the check in the mail. So he received it in the mail, kind of thought like we do, okay, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But then he received a follow-up text message still trying to convince him that he needed to deposit it. Now, he did not give us the details as far as what the narrative was surrounding this. But we did, a couple years ago, a fake check study, so an international investigation on this type of scam. And this happens a lot. And we're not talking about you're pre-approved for a $20,000 personal loan thing you might get in the mail. It kind of looks like a check. That's a marketing scheme,
Of
right,
course.
by that company. But what we're talking about in these situations are you may be, we've had this type of scam come up when people are looking for a job. They're like, look, we're going to send you a check, send money elsewhere to the company that's going to come set up your home office. You can keep X amount from it in the meantime. And what you find out is the check's not real. It doesn't clear your account.
Yeah.
The money you send elsewhere, a lot of times they're either wanting you to pull out in cash or wire transfer, which we know there's not a lot of ways to get that money back when you send money via wire.
Yeah.
And we know this is going around.
Yeah.
We're getting reports of it. This gentleman received it in the mail, and then a follow-up text message, which is a little bit more, pressure tactic-y than we're used to. A lot of times they send these checks out and they're kind of just left to their own devices, but they actually followed up in this situation trying to convince him to deposit it.
Wow. The common theme a lot of times with this that I'm hearing is, okay, so we're sending you something that's big, but we want a little something from you too. And so when they want a little something from you, then that should be the red flag that says no. And it's sad to see that people are unfortunately many of them have fallen victim to this.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's easy when we sit here and talk about it. We know we're on here right now. We're going to talk about a scam. Okay, that's easy. But when these things are like cloaked in the day and they just come about when they happen, and we got a lot of other things going on. I had a friend of mine reach out yesterday actually with a screenshot of an email, quote unquote, from the IRS saying she was eligible for another $1,400 something in refund that she didn't claim. All she needed to do is click on this link. And, of course, she asked me, does this look legitimate? Of course not. Don't click on the link. Don't do it. But when you're that person that received that, there's always this part that's like
hopeful.
But what if? $1,400.
Yeah.
I remember
why don't I try it out?
I remember getting my very first scam when I was a freshman at UL. And, one of my very first emails when I signed up with the portal was one of those Nigerian prince scams. And I remember getting it and thinking, okay, I know this is not right, but what if? Now, of course, I didn't click on anything or do anything with it.
No, but you're absolutely right. But what if?
But what if? And I'm just sitting there thinking, but what if? But what if? But what if? And me being, a young, immature freshman, I'm having to,
talk yourself out of it.
Stop, Brandon. Leave it alone. Don't do anything. There's no way that this is real. Move on. But again, and we talked about it, young people are the ones that are falling for these things more than the elderly right now.
Oh man. So yeah, the statistics actually flipped for our risk report last year, 2022. Typically the younger demographic felt more susceptible to scams more often than the elderly demographic, but the elderly demographic lost more money.
Yeah.
And they were the most savvy, losing money the least amount of times, but the most money. Well, just recently, the younger demographic, 18 to 24, both males and females, losing money the most often and losing the most money.
Well, and the brain is not fully matured yet. And sometimes you're more likely to, not sometimes, many times you're more likely to give in to something that you think is going to be good for you or feel good or whatever,
right,
as opposed to using more logic.
That's true, but think about this. The young people move with warp speed on that cellular device, on that handheld computer. I mean, really, think about it. You get
warp speed.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, click. It says click. I mean, because that's what they do. They click, pop, and drag all day long. So, look, my little story is, the value of hearing your segments on a regular basis, Chris. So this is a while back. This was earlier this year, and it may have been late in 22. I think it was. And so a check shows up from a walk-in clinic, and I look at it and I go, what the heck? So I call, and I say, this showed up out of the blue. And I said, and I did remember the walk-in clinic, and I said, when's the last time I used this? Well, I used it during COVID because I had a strep throat, and I thought it might have been COVID, so I went and got tested. And I said, why is this check coming nearly a year and a half after I was at the walk-in clinic? And she said, well, we must have caught that during an audit, sir. And then I went, oh, yeah, because I was asked to pay the full cost.
Yeah.
When I had insurance with my government, Lafayette Consolidated Government, I was paying for insurance. So anyway, they told me, yes, sir, it came from an audit. And I said, well, you guys need to itemize that and say trip to the clinic from whatever, December 3rd, 2021, or whatever the time was. But I was reluctant. I said, okay, it's a check. It looks legitimate.
Yeah.
Which I'll go deposit it. It'll either show up in my account or it will bounce.
Oh, and that's the issue a lot of times with these scams is it makes legitimate practices seem sketchy too.
Yeah.
These types of scams continue. They always want us, they're always luring us with money. I mean, most of the time. So anytime you get unsolicited communications, whether it's a text message, email, phone call, saying you're eligible for something free, the red flag should go up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take the break unless there's something else you wanted to mention. Chris?
I think that's it for today. That's what we've got going on. If you come across a scam, go to our scam tracker, report it to us. Let us come on Mondays or Tuesdays that feel like Mondays and let everybody know about it. That way we can help spread the word here in Acadiana.
Okay. And so, but this is not the last we're going to hear from the BBB today. So after we take the news break and get things set up for the 8 o'clock hour, we do have some special guests that'll be here today.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that with the awards that you'll have.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and punt that football up in the air to get everybody excited about it. So our annual awards program coming up in November. This morning we've got Bridget from our office, our Director of Marketing and Communications, as well as Robert Husers, the owner of A5 Star Plumbing, which is our diamond sponsor for this year's awards. We will be talking about the program, talking a little bit about his business and how people can get more involved.
All right, there you go. That's a quick synopsis of it. We'll get a little bit more into that as we continue on in the 8 o'clock hour here on Acadiana's Morning News. We will take this break. We've got Fox News coming up. Your local and state headlines all on the way.
This is your #1 news, weather, and traffic source in Acadiana. This is News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Depend on it.
The Fox Business Report brought to you by Paul's Jewelry, Acadiana's trusted family jeweler for over 65 years.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Chipmaker ARM says it looks to raise up to $4.8 billion in its upcoming U.S. stock launch. The semiconductor designer is based in the U.K. It plans to offer more than 95 million American depository shares on the NASDAQ under the symbol ARM. As Walt Disney's dispute with Spectrum continues, Disney's urging Spectrum subscribers to switch to the Hulu Live plan to obtain access to ABC, ESPN, and other Disney-owned channels that are blacked out. Disney is suggesting Spectrum customers can sign up for Hulu Plus Live, a streaming service Disney mostly owns. Goldman Sachs economists now say the possibility of a recession in the U.S. next year is down to 15%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
Starting August 22nd, the U.S. dollar may have new competition from a new global supercurrency backed by Russia and China. And if the dollar plummets, your retirement could follow. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. I encourage you to act before August 22nd. Text SHELTER to 989898 to get your free information kit on gold now.
Yes, it's that time of the year again, back to school shopping. And with inflation, we know it hasn't gotten any cheaper. Here's how we want to help you out. Download the KPEL News app and click on Hall Pass Cash, and you could win a $500 prepaid Visa gift card. Just follow the assignments to earn points and increase your chances to win. We're making back-to-school shopping better with Hall Pass Cash. Brought to you by Acadiana owned and operated Mattress Gallery, located on Kali Saloom across from River Ranch. From selection to delivery, it's Mattress Gallery.
2-3.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios, online at matthew-james.com.
Jill Biden has COVID-19. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The First Lady tested positive and is experiencing mild symptoms, according to a statement from the White House. Now, President Biden, they say, has tested negative. He's supposed to fly to India Thursday for the G20 World Leaders Summit.
The White House says the president will be tested often this week and will pay attention to see if any symptoms pop up. On President Biden's schedule Tuesday is a Medal of Honor ceremony for Captain Larry Taylor, and it looks like that event will still happen. The First Lady is staying at the family's house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. The 72-year-old tested positive for the virus in August of last year and made a full recovery. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
August recess is over and the Senate returns to session this afternoon. It's unclear whether Republican leader Mitch McConnell will speak. Some senators want more transparency about his health. McConnell froze up again during a speaking engagement last week. The leader of North Korea is reportedly planning to take a train to Russia to talk to Russian President Vladimir Putin about supplying ammunition for his war with Ukraine.
That would be in exchange for technology to advance satellites and nuclear-powered submarines in North Korea. Now, Kim Jong-un will reportedly also be seeking food for his people who have gone hungry under his leadership. And the United States first warned of North Korea aiding Russia's war in Ukraine a year ago.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff. The search for convicted murderer Daniello Cavalcante expands in southeastern Pennsylvania. Lieutenant Colonel George Babin with the state police says he was spotted in a botanical garden.
Early this morning, we were notified by security at Longwood Gardens that they had trail camera photos taken on their property, which appear to be Cavalcante. This area is just south of the perimeter.
Cavalcante escaped Thursday. Schools in at least 2 districts are closed today because of the manhunt. Former Proud Boys right-wing militia leader Enrique Tarrio is being sentenced today for his role in the Capitol riot. It was postponed last week when the judge got sick. Prosecutors are asking for a 33-year sentence. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Former Trump advisor Peter Navarro's federal contempt trial starts today in Washington, D.C. Fox's Gernal Scott.
He's accused of repeatedly refusing to testify before and submit documents to the House Select Committee on the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. As recently as last week, Navarro was attempting to assert that executive privilege prohibited his testimony. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta ruled that was not proven, in part because former President Trump never confirmed Navarro's claim. The trial is expected to be relatively short for the former trade advisor.
Another Trump advisor, Steve Bannon, was convicted of contempt of Congress last summer and sentenced to 4 months in prison. That sentence is on hold pending appeal. There was deadly rough weather at some New Jersey beaches over Labor Day weekend.
Many beachgoers ignored repeated warnings about the strong rip currents along the New Jersey shore. More than a dozen people got into serious trouble in the powerful currents created by the remnants of hurricanes and tropical storms far offshore. 3 swimmers died, including a 22-year-old man who drowned at Beach Haven. In Belmar, a group of swimmers ended up in distress. 5 made it out alive. A 42-year-old man did not. And 6 people needed rescuing at Seaside Beach. Again, 5 rescued, but teams were unable to find a 31-year-old man. Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
A new law banning guns in parts of Los Gatos, California, south of San Jose, was supposed to take effect today. It's on hold.
These areas would be off limits to those carrying firearms, even if possessing a carry permit, though the ordinance is not in effect now because the city got letters from lawyers with the California Rifle and Pistol Association and the Second Amendment Foundation questioning the legality of gun-free zones.
Fox's Evan Brown Dow futures are up 29 points ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News.
Your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning, I'm Bernie Datley with your news and information update. Officials fighting the Elizabeth fire in Rapides Parish have sobering news for those wondering why the wildfires are continuing to go even after a rainstorm. According to the fire behavior analyst, they would need 4 to 5 inches of rain to relieve the severe drought. State Ag and Forestry Commissioner Mike Strain is asking for the public's help to find the suspect accused of starting the Tiger Island fire, the largest wildfire in Louisiana history in Beauregard Parish. Strain says the arson caused wildfire, devastating and damaging property and structures.
More than 31,000 acres have been set on fire, resulting in loss of property, loss of homes, and cost millions of dollars fighting this. And it's not over. Arson is a crime. This is a felony.
The Tiger Island fire began on August 22nd and is only 55% contained. While no details were provided on exactly how investigators believe the blaze started, Strain urges the public to help find the culprits.
Damage to more than 20 homes and structures. 6 were totally lost in the area. We are making arrests in the fires that are caused by arsons and by negligence. So please give us a hand because we have to stop this.
Now, Strain says the fire is unprecedented. He says the wildfire forced the evacuation of 1,200 people from the town of Maryville and placed lives at risk.
Louisiana Forestry Association is offering a $2,000 cash reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction of the person or persons responsible for this.
Well, the opening weekend of high school football was marred by a fatal shooting at the Bruley-Port Allen game on Friday night. Sergeant Landon Groger with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office says during halftime, 18-year-old Jerriton Jackson II shot 16-year-old Jacoby Queen only a few feet away from the concession stand.
It is my understanding that there was an altercation that occurred between these two. Before details that led up to that horrifying event, it's unclear at this time.
Queen was a student at Bruley High School. A 26-year-old woman was also shot in the arm. Groger says it was a senseless act of violence at one of the biggest events of the year in West Baton Rouge Parish, the Sugarcane Classic.
And everybody was looking forward to coming out underneath these Friday night lights. You know, not only were there students and teachers there, but man, we had families, children, staff, and just our community coming together as a whole.
Groger says they'll work to make sure football games and other public events in West Baton Rouge are safe, but he says it's a bad situation when an 18-year-old feels a need to bring a gun to a high school football game.
It starts in the home, you know, with the parents and discipline and being involved in your faith-based groups.
The West Baton Rouge school system says it will have increased security at future games, and trauma and grief counselors will be at the school today. Jackson was arrested yesterday and booked for second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. Narcan, a drug used to reverse opioid overdoses, will be available without a prescription this week on Wednesday. LSU Health New Orleans Chief of Community and Population Medicine, Dr. Benjamin Springate, says Narcan is an important tool to counter the opioid overdose epidemic, but the cost is what could end up being a factor.
There are opportunities to receive distribution from sometimes fire stations or other public-facing health facilities, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for people to come up with $45 and pay that out of pocket.
Now, the suggested retail is that $45 a carton, which has the 2 doses of the nasal spray. While Springgate admits he's not sure if the over-the-counter availability of Narcan will make a dramatic difference.
I think every opportunity to increase the availability of Narcan is going to make some difference, and I think that we want to look at it as another tool in the toolkit, but it's not a cure-all.
Now, some health insurers will cover the cost or a portion of it when it's prescribed. Besides individuals who are at most risk for an overdose, Springgate says others should also consider purchasing the Narcan.
If you have someone in your life who's, potentially going to be at risk of overdose, they're using drugs, you're not sure which drugs, it's worth having some on hand.
If you do have to administer Narcan, know that vomiting or seizure-like activity is a potential side effect. So roll the person on their side to prevent choking, call 911, and stay with them until help arrives. Game week has arrived for the Saints as they host the Tennessee Titans Sunday. New Orleans only has 2 home games in the first 6 weeks of the season, so getting a win on Sunday is important.
I think anytime you get a chance to start off fast and hopefully stack some wins together early on in the season, when you're going to face some adversity, you're going to face some injury issues as the season wears on, banking a few wins is always good.
Now, the Titans went 7-10 last season. They started 7-3, but finished the season on a 7-game losing streak. Mike Vrabel is entering his 7th season as the head coach in Tennessee. And Allen says you know what kind of game you'll get when Vrabel is on the other sideline.
Ball's going to get thrown down the field to some elite receivers, and we're going to have to make our share of plays down the field.
You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Should be a fairly quiet morning out there. It is very sticky. A lot of moisture left over from the showers yesterday. And a little later on in the day, I wouldn't be too surprised to run into another round of scattered showers. Temperatures getting up to about 94 degrees later on today. Heat index a little bit closer to 100. Winds coming from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. A little drier, a little hotter, though, as we make our way through the middle parts of the week. Could be back in the triple digits by Thursday. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, taking a look at what's happening on the roadways right now. We do have a stalled vehicle, Johnson Street at Fountainhead. That's Johnson Street at Fountainhead. Also, we have a crash, the Evangeline Thruway at Bellot. That's the Evangeline Thruway at Bellot. We also have a crash popping up. Let's see here. We have a stalled vehicle that's popping up, I-10. This is showing up I-10 near the I-10, I-49 interchange. This is just coming in, so that's all we're getting as of now. Try to get you more details as we go throughout the morning. Good morning, Acadiana, and welcome into Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como here with you. Mark Pope going to rejoin me in a few minutes, but we got a studio full of people here, so I don't know where Mark would have sat. So it's all good.
Standing room only.
Standing room only, exactly. All right, so you just heard Chris Babin's voice, president of the Better Business Bureau of Acadiana. And, okay, so it is a Tuesday, and I keep having to remind myself of that, Chris. So, you guys are getting to speak to, a different audience here in this 8 o'clock hour as we have different people joining us at different times. Usually we have you on during the 7 o'clock hour.
Right.
So there may be some things that we, repeat a little bit about the Better Business Bureau of Acadiana, and that's okay. But this is a time that we're going to talk about what the BBB does, but also we're going to talk about the 32nd annual BBB Torch Award for Ethics Nominations and Scholarship Applications that's coming up. So on your right, Chris, we've got Bridget Trevino. She's the Director of Marketing and Communications for the BBB. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. And then also we've got Robert Husers, 5 Star Plumbing, sitting to my left. How's it going?
Great, man. Good morning.
Okay. And so, you, a local business, is what all this is about that we're about to start talking about. So first off, I want to ask, did you say 16 years in business? How long y'all been in business?
We've been 18 years.
18 years, okay. 18 going on 19 years of business. Okay, so before we get into the BBB and the awards and everything, this is your opportunity to tell our listeners a little bit about your business.
Wow. We strive to be probably the best when it comes to customer service. We do just about anything you can imagine when it comes to plumbing. You've got running water, you've got natural gas, you've got drainage. We can handle any aspect of that.
Right.
So all in all, we've got a phenomenal team. We're about 10 strong. We got 3 trucks running. We're doing everything we can to get to as quickly as we possibly can. And this is a great opportunity for us to kind of give back and help our community also.
Well, you talk about your team, talk about 3 trucks and 10 people strong. That's very important, especially when you consider, these plumbing issues, when they come up, man, they come up sometimes all of a sudden, and people need you as soon as possible, So for you guys having the team, the team to be able to get out to them, that's a big deal.
It is, yeah, and we're still growing, and we're in a massive growing stage right now. So anything that we can possibly do to bring in some new licensed plumbers, or just we're looking for them.
So we're gonna come back to you in a second, but we're gonna come back to Bridget and talk about the awards. And then we're going to come back to you, Robert, and talk about how you guys got involved. But Bridget, talk about these awards. You have 32 years that y'all have been doing this. I mean, that's quite a run. I didn't realize y'all have been doing it for this long.
Yes, we've been doing it for a very, very long time. Although we've been in the community for almost 50 years.
Right.
But this is our way of celebrating ethics and integrity in the Acadiana area.
Yeah.
We like to give back to our community too. So the community supports us.
So, Bridget and Chris, whichever one of y'all wants to take it, talk about the awards that you guys will be giving out, and then we'll get more into the business nominations and the applications.
So we give out 4 organizational awards.
Okay.
We have the actual Torch Award for Ethics, which is what it's named after.
Right.
And that award actually focuses on the 4 C's: the character of the organization, the culture that's being fostered in that organization, their relationship with their customers, and the impact that they make in their community. And then we have our Outstanding New Business Award, which is recognizes a business that is less than 3 years old, has demonstrated a success in customer service, marketing, advertising, communications, and ethical sales practices. The third one is Customer Commitment. That award recognizes a business that has outstanding customer service, routinely exceeds customer expectations. And then the last one is Good Neighbor Award. And this recognizes the business and its employees who play a significant role in support of the programs and services in the Acadiana community.
So you guys really are trying to cover all aspects of what makes businesses successful in this area.
That's correct.
There you go. All right, Chris. So talk a little bit about how to nominate a business, and then the scholarship applications would have to do with students as well.
Yeah, so super easy. You go to bbb.org, find our awards page. There's a nomination link there for any one of those 4 awards that Bridget mentioned. You fill out the application. We do accept self-nominations as well. So if you're a business, you're doing great things, go fill it out. It comes in just the same as everybody else's. We love self-nominations. It is a little bit different than just, who gets the most votes. We actually vote. Our board votes on these awards based on, the substantiation that's provided. So if you're, nominating somebody for the Customer Commitment Award, tell us a little story about them. How are they exceeding their customers' expectations? What are they doing to earn that award? We named 3 finalists, and the highest score is our winner in each category. And then, as you mentioned, the scholarships. So community college, trade school, university level scholarships. Deadlines for all of this is September 15th, so you still have plenty of time. I think that's just under 2 weeks away, if I could do the math. 15 minus 5, right?
Yeah.
Is today actually the 5th?
It's about 10, 11 days away, yeah.
It is the 5th today.
It's coming now.
Days.
It's coming up quickly, I'll say that.
Make sure we get those in there.
Yeah.
And I just want to reiterate, too, as a nonprofit, this is our largest fundraiser each year. But we wouldn't be able to do everything we do, day in and day out, week in and week out, without our accredited businesses. A 5-Star Plumbing's been accredited with us. He's been in business 18 years. He's been accredited with us 17 years. So as soon as he was eligible, he became accredited, and then stepped up and took our diamond sponsor role this year to make sure that we're able to put this awards program on. We're able to recognize those great businesses in our community. And, a lot of people, have heard me come on KPEL, and the majority of the time is when we're talking about the bad things that are going on right here in town. What scams are targeting people, what businesses aren't doing things maybe the best way that they should be. But on the flip side, we have just as many, if not more, great businesses out there. This is our way of recognizing those, and it's how we're supported through our accredited members, right at 1,100 of them right here in Acadiana. So big thank you to Robert and his team at A5 Star Plumbing for sponsoring us for this year's awards program. And it's going to be in a couple weeks. We'll get rid of talking about nominations, and we'll start talking about how to get tickets.
Yeah.
And Brandon, I saw you writing the date down. I know you're going to be there.
That's Thursday, November 2nd at Le Pavillon.
Open bar. I'm just going to say that. When the tickets go on sale. Great auction items, great atmosphere. It was wonderful last year, but we're looking forward to a great event this year as well.
So, Robert, it's one thing, to jump on board, become, BBB accredited, but it's another thing to become a part of this event, to become that diamond sponsor like Chris was talking about. Talk to us a little bit about what led to you and A5 Star Plumbing becoming a part of this.
Sure thing. Man, I kind of mentioned that a little bit as I walked in here. This is something that would not be doable by us if it wasn't for the people in Acadiana. We could not, grow. We couldn't, get to the amount of clients that we want to be able to get to, to be able to do something like this. So we finally made it to that point. So all in all, we're able to be able to do it, and we're super pumped about doing it. And we got a little selfishness in there too, where we're going to utilize this as a great way to be able to do a little bit of marketing. So we want to, expand our footprint in the Lafayette area. We're kind of known as the Youngsville plumber, but we cover a large area.
I wouldn't call it selfishness. I'd call it great business sense. I mean, and look, so let me ask you this, and we're kind of getting off on this, but I want to ask you, for anyone who's thinking about becoming a small business owner, starting their own small business, what advice would you give them as you are now going on 2 decades strong?
Wow. That's a very tough question, because you know what? I'm still learning every single day. I guess I would really have to say, look for things that can set yourself apart. What really makes you to be that diamond in the rough that people want to be able to utilize your services for.
Well, I think you said it when you opened it too with the question, you're always learning. You're always ready to learn something to make your business better.
Absolutely, 100%. There's a lot of things that are out there that I'm diving into. I've always tried to put myself in front of the whole tech world and utilize that. We've just been a step ahead of most in our industry, and I'm going to continue to be that way.
There you go. All right, so let's go back to the student scholarship aspect of this, because I want, Bridget or Chris, one of you or both of you, to explain, because we've talked about the business nomination aspect, but the scholarship application part of this, for parents that are listening, you got a lot of parents that are listening here that would say, hey, my kid would be a good, someone to be able to apply for a scholarship. Talk a little bit about how the scholarship works, how that application process goes.
Actually, it's really easy.
Okay.
They just go to bbb.org/Acadiana. They click the scholarship. They scroll down and hit apply. And it's a real simple application. All they have to do is actually just answer one question. And that is, they have to write a small essay that's focused on integrity and ethics, and how they apply it to their everyday life.
Very cool.
We're not 5-paragraph essaying at BBB. We just want you to tell us, what does ethics mean to you?
Okay.
And then we try to, we're not too complicated at BBB. So what we do when we choose these 3 candidates, the 3 recipients, they're going to be able to attend the awards program. They get 2 tickets, so a ticket for them and a significant other, loved one, mom, dad, whoever. They can always purchase more as well. And then we pay the money directly to them. So it doesn't go to the school. All we need is just proof that you're in school at somewhere here in Acadiana or reside here in the Acadiana area. And, we pay the money directly to them. So it's a great easy way to put your name out there with school just now getting back in session and, help support those students that are continuing their education. And we know when we started the Students of Integrity Scholarship Fund that there's much more to continued education than just university level. So that's why we included community college and trade schools in there as well. Everybody has a different path, and we want to be able to help support each one of those different ones.
The word ethics is in the title as we talk about the BBB Torch Award for Ethics, Business Nominations, and Scholarship Applications. Is it a concern about, ethics in this world that we live in today, that it's starting to go by the wayside a little bit? Is that why we're wanting to highlight it so much here?
Well,
is that part of it is what I'm
on
asking.
behalf of BBB, we will say that, there is a need for us in the community.
Yeah.
Whether it's on a business level or consumer level,
right.
I think everything we see in our world today is sometimes it's a struggle to deal with and maybe swallow what we see going on. So being a part of what we're trying to do at BBB, there's not really another organization that does what we do.
Right.
And that is why, we try so hard to do it. That's why the community is so important to us. And, we feel like every dollar that we save, whether it's from, a scammer or just a business that's maybe not licensed and not doing the job properly, or not doing things the right way or the way that they should, is a dollar that's otherwise going to be spent with a good business, like an accredited business. So it kind of, one hand feeds the other, I guess.
But it also holds businesses to a standard.
Well, absolutely. And those accredited businesses have agreed to meet those standards. And if they fall short, to fix whatever the issue is. And that's one of the big things that accreditation means. We do evaluate all companies. There's right at 15,000 here in Acadiana and the 7 parishes that we cover. But those accredited businesses made the commitment to not only do they meet the standards to become accredited, but they want to continue to meet those standards to maintain that accreditation. So it's something that they take seriously and that we take seriously as well. And, we encourage you to check out any business you're going to do business with on BBB.org, see what their rating is, but even more importantly, see if they're accredited with us.
So we'll talk more about the event as we get closer to it, and tickets start going on sale in, a couple of weeks?
October 1st.
October 1st. Okay, so October 1st, so about a little bit less than a month from now. And you guys, it's going to be a buffet set up at 6 o'clock at Le Pavillon, and then the awards start at 7, correct?
That's it. Doors open 5:30 with the open bar. Food at 6. Food gets put out at 6. Program starts at 7. We'll be auctioning and dancing by 8 o'clock.
There you go. All right, Chris, Bridget, Robert, good to meet Bridget and Robert. Good to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for jumping in, and we'll be talking to y'all soon.
Thank you.
All right, Chris,
All right,
as always, good to see you, man. All right, KPL News Time is 8:29. We'll take this commercial break. We've got news, weather, and traffic all on the way.
Celebrating 20 years of enlightening Acadiana. Moon Griffon, next on News Talk 96.5. KPEL, your 24/7 news source, on air, online, and with the KPEL News app. Now the headlines from the KPEL News Center.
Good morning, I'm Bernadette Lee with your news and information update. The family of a Lafayette man have alerted authorities he's been missing since August 30th. He's 55-year-old Nelson Mutaw. They say he was last seen in Brobridge. He was wearing jeans, a solid gray shirt, and a hat. Anyone with information should call the Brobridge Police Department. Acadiana Regional Coalition on Homelessness and Housing is hosting a public discussion this week. The first State of Homelessness Forum is set for this Wednesday, September 6th. It'll be at 6 p.m. at the Acadiana Center for the Arts. State Ag and Forestry Commissioner Mike Strain is asking for the public's help to find the suspect accused of starting the Tiger Island fire, the largest wildfire in Louisiana history in Beauregard Parish. Strain says the arson caused wildfire, devastating and damaging property and structures.
More than 31,000 acres have been set on fire, resulting in loss of property, loss of homes, and cost millions of dollars fighting this. And it's not over. Arson is a crime. This is a felony.
The Tiger Island fire began on August 22nd and is only 55% contained. While no details were provided on exactly how investigators believe the blaze started, Strain urges the public to help find the culprits.
Damage to more than 20 homes and structures. 6 were totally lost in the area. We are making arrests in the fires that are caused by arsons and by negligence. So please give us a hand because we have to stop this.
Now, Strain says the fire is unprecedented. He says the wildfire forced the evacuation of 1,200 people from the town of Maryville and placed lives at risk.
Louisiana Forestry Association is offering a $2,000 cash reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction of the person or persons responsible for this.
Well, the opening weekend of high school football was marred by a fatal shooting at the Bruley-Port Allen game on Friday night. Sergeant Landon Groger with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office says during halftime, 18-year-old Jerriton Jackson II shot 16-year-old Jacoby Queen only a few feet away from the concession stand.
It is my understanding that there was an altercation that occurred between these two. Before details that led up to that horrifying event, it's unclear at this time.
Queen was a student at Bruley High School. A 26-year-old woman was also shot in the arm. Groger says it was a senseless act of violence at one of the biggest events of the year in West Baton Rouge Parish, the Sugarcane Classic.
And everybody was looking forward to coming out underneath these Friday night lights. You know, not only were there students and teachers there, but man, we had families, children, staff, and just our community coming together as a whole.
Groger says they'll work to make sure football games and other public events in West Baton Rouge are safe, but he says it's a bad situation when an 18-year-old feels a need to bring a gun to a high school football game.
It starts in the home, you know, with the parents and discipline and being involved in your faith-based groups.
The West Baton Rouge school system says it will have increased security at future games, and trauma and grief counselors will be at the school today. Jackson was arrested yesterday and booked for second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. Narcan, a drug used to reverse opioid overdoses, will be available without a prescription this week on Wednesday. LSU Health New Orleans Chief of Community and Population Medicine, Dr. Benjamin Springate, says Narcan is an important tool to counter the opioid overdose epidemic, but the cost is what could end up being a factor.
There are opportunities to receive distribution from sometimes fire stations or other public-facing health facilities, but it's definitely going to be a challenge for people to come up with $45 and pay that out of pocket.
Now, the suggested retail is that $45 a carton, which has the 2 doses of the nasal spray. While Springate admits he's not sure if the over-the-counter availability of Narcan will make a dramatic difference.
I think every opportunity to increase the availability of Narcan is going to make some difference, and I think that we want to look at it as another tool in the toolkit, but it's not a cure-all.
Now, some health insurers will cover the cost or a portion of it when it's prescribed. Besides individuals who are at most risk for an overdose, Springate says others should also consider purchasing the Narcan.
If you have someone in your life who's, potentially going to be at risk of overdose, they're using drugs, you're not sure which drugs, it's worth having some on hand.
If you do have to administer Narcan, know that vomiting or seizure-like activity is a potential side effect. So roll the person on their side to prevent choking, call 911, and stay with them until help arrives. Game week has arrived for the Saints as they host the Tennessee Titans Sunday. New Orleans only has 2 home games in the first 6 weeks of the season, so getting a win on Sunday is important.
I think anytime you get a chance to start off fast and hopefully stack some wins together early on in the season, when you know you're going to face some adversity, you're going to face some injury issues as the season wears on, banking a few wins is always good.
Now, the Titans went 7-10 last season. They started 7-3, but finished the season on a 7-game losing streak. Mike Vrabel is entering his 7th season as the head coach in Tennessee. And Allen says you know what kind of game you'll get when Vrabel is on the other sideline.
The ball's going to get thrown down the field to some elite receivers, and we're going to have to make our share of plays down the field.
Plaquemine Parish deputies were surprised when they arrived at a Dollar General store in Burris. They found a giant alligator waiting outside the doors. Deputy Tony Palisamo said that they took the picture of the 6-foot alligator in the sheriff's office, posted it right to the Facebook page. No one was expecting it. You're up to date. I'm Bernadette Lee.
Should be a fairly quiet morning out there. It is very sticky. A lot of moisture left over from the showers yesterday. And a little later on in the day, I wouldn't be too surprised to run into another round of scattered showers. Temperatures getting up to about 94 degrees later on today. Heat index a little bit closer to 100. Winds coming from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. A little drier, a little hotter, though, as we make our way through the middle parts of the week. Could be back in the triple digits by Thursday. From the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab, I'm KTC meteorologist Daniel Phillips on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled pros to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
News Talk 96.5. KPEL. Right now, traffic.
All right, taking a look at what is happening on the roadways right now. We do have a crash popping up on University. This is the 800 block of East University Avenue. Other than that, roadways are looking good right now.
Hi, I'm EJ Williams. Each year, millions of animals are abandoned, and more than 1 million are euthanized before they can be rescued. Organizations like American Humane are working to harness the healing power of the human-animal bond, as animals can be trained as life-saving service and therapy dogs to help veterans, the elderly, and children with special needs to overcome the obstacles of everyday life. To find out how you can help give animals and the people they help a new leash on life, please visit AmericanHumane.org.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Find out more about how they can help you at matthew-james.com. All right, KPEL News Time is 8:41. You know, earlier in the 6 o'clock hour mark, we were talking about football being back, and we spent a lot of time talking high school and college, but NFL is coming back as well, and the Saints, they'll be playing Sunday against Tennessee, which I'm excited to see what the year will hold. There's a lot of optimism going into this year. But the NFL season, prime time, will kick off on Thursday. So the teams that will be playing will be Kansas City and Detroit. Kansas City, we know, they've been a great team over the past 5 to 7 years, multiple Super Bowls appearances and all that good stuff. And then you got an up-and-coming team like Detroit that went on a tear last year, that was the hottest team at the end of the regular season, but they couldn't quite make it into the playoffs, if I remember right. So will they be able to pick up from last year, or are they going to go back to being the Detroit Lions that we all know and love to laugh at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I bring this up because something else is going to debut on Thursday during the football game. And that is the Biden-Harris 2024 new ad that's called Got to Work. So I have this ad. Would you care to hear for it?
I guess so. Let me sit down first. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Here we go. Get ready.
They said millions would lose their jobs and the economy would collapse. But this president refused to let that happen. Instead, he got to work, fixing supply chains, fighting corporate greed, passing laws to lower the cost of medicine, cut utility bills, and make us more energy independent. Today, inflation is down to 3%, unemployment the lowest in decades. There's more to do, but President Biden is getting results that matter.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
I'm surprised no, I'm not going to say it.
My analysis?
Yeah.
It's all a damn lie.
It's just...
you've got a shred of truth in everything he said, just a shred. But for the most part, it's fabricated.
He's a damn liar.
As CB used to say. Oh, man. But it's like you said, though. They know how to take a shred of truth and just spin it into something that makes it seem like he's fighting for you.
Oh, yeah. Lowering inflate energy independence. Let's build more solar panels. No, let's get them from China.
By the way, never mind that inflation went up to historic levels during his presidency.
Right.
There was nowhere to go pretty much but down.
Yeah. And you know the old cliche, you've got to hit rock bottom before you come up. Well, with inflation, you've got to go sky high before you come down.
Yeah.
So it's the polar opposite. Goodness. You got to laugh. You got to laugh or you go crazy.
Well, but so the commercial itself is kind of convincing if you're not paying attention to what's going on. Now, I still see when I look at him in these spots, I still see a very weak man who is very feeble and his mind is not quite there, you know? And I don't say that as an insult. I'm just being honest with what I see. but they do a good job of masking that for the most part with all of the different action shots of other people involved that go into this.
Yeah.
You know, they were able to get him to say his one line at the end.
Right.
And basically, they took a couple of action shots of him to go along with action shots of others that mixed it up enough that if you're not paying attention and you don't really follow politics, you might fall for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, each of those points that were made, I could spend 10 minutes refuting each and every point. Obviously, we're not going to do that, but I am stunned and amazed at because really, quite honestly, those who are, I don't know, a Joe Biden fan, I don't understand their thinking and their logic.
I feel like it's more anti-Trump or anti-Republican than it is pro-Biden or pro-Harris.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me with this society that they're able to do what they're doing as far as getting into office and getting away with what they're able to get away with. But I would say I'm getting concerned about 2024. You know, because while Trump dominates on the Republican side, the head-to-head with Biden, people that say, well, there's no way people can put him back in. Yes, there is. There are enough people in this country that vote and they think completely differently than you or I or others. And they truly believe that, hey, maybe he's not running the country, but he doesn't have to. The people behind the scenes that are running the country are getting things done that they want to see get done. I'm talking about from the liberal progressive perspective.
I agree, but here's how I would alter what you just said, Brandon. Running the country into the ground, and that is not that is not hyperbole. It is really not. I mean, and you go out and you see these surveys, and so many people, and I haven't heard one recently where I can cite a specific percentage of the American population that says we're on the wrong track, we're on the wrong road, we're headed in the wrong direction. But that number is very high. And here's another thing. And you look at these polls, and right now, if it were, then the poll hypothetically has Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. And they're right there. They're neck and neck. You know, they're all at roughly 46% apiece, something like that. And another poll will come out and Trump is ahead by 1 point, 47, 46, or vice versa. And then so if you do that math, that still leaves about 7 or 8 percentage points undecided or who are not answering the question. I don't know, I guess is what they say. And here's one thing to remember. Who's the big polling organization, one of the biggest in the world? Gallup. Gallup, years ago, I have not heard, but years ago when it was stated, I was really surprised. Gallup said, we're not doing presidential polls anymore. People lie.
Yeah.
People lie and they mislead you. And so, therefore, we're not going to do presidential polls. And that was a good 4 or 5 years ago. So I have not heard. I don't know if Gallup is back in the business of doing presidential polls, but I think we put too much stock or too much credence, if you will, into polls because the American public is a fickle body. And so it changes week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year.
You know, Labor Day weekend gas prices were near all-time highs. But I don't feel people complaining about gas prices as much as they used to anymore.
Well, I get they've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's but you know, this is the time of year, Brandon, when and it's probably more in May, but it's not something that's done in a day or two. You switch from winter gas to summer gas.
Right.
And so we're in September, so that was done quite a while back, probably in May. And so, but you do have an increase. Even if prices are reasonable, you're still going to see that increase in gasoline prices because basically what you've got to do is flush out the supply lines. And it's not just a matter of you flip a switch and you're suddenly you've gone from winter gas to summer gas. And so it's a very just as most everything in our world, it's very complicated. But Biden with restricting the drilling and so on, and then they come and tell you but we've got this, and the oil companies aren't taking advantage of the leases that are available. Right, because they do their research and their homework, and they know that many of these leases that are available are not going to be productive, and that's why they're not taking advantages. But they have cut back substantially on the leases. They've cut back on drilling on all federal lands. I'm 90% sure of that. But they are trying to not just hurt, but destroy our oil and gas industry in the country. So, I don't know. We're on the wrong road. And to even consider Joe Biden for another 4 years in office boggles my mind.
All right, we'll go ahead and take this quick break. We'll be right back to wrap things up right after this. Save money on your printing needs. Call Cartridge World today and ask about their no-cost printer program, too. Cartridge World, 337-984-9000, CartridgeWorldUSA.com.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre says no one has done more to stop illegal immigration than Joe Biden.
Now, why do people lie even when they know the truth? I know the motivations behind dishonesty are complex and multifaceted, but one of the most insidious forms of lying is the deliberate manipulation of facts. And what Karine Jean-Pierre said here is destructive to our country, indeed our planet, because trust is the bedrock upon which societies are built. It's the belief that when someone speaks, they're being truthful. The truth is, Biden has done more to encourage illegal immigration, along with drug trafficking and human trafficking, than any president in our history.
The Biden administration is trying to fool you, and you would be a fool to believe them.
Return each weeknight with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr from 9 to 10 p.m. on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
All right, we have this really cool promotion I want to tell you about that's kicking off today before we head on over to the Moon Griffon Show. So here's how you can win an ultimate black and gold tailgate party. We're teaming up with Race Chevrolet of Abbeville to give away the ultimate tailgate party experience for our fans of the New Orleans Saints. So whether the Saints are or at home or on the road, we will have you covered. For home game winners, you'll get VIP passes to the official black and gold tailgate party. For away games, we're going to set you up with an ultimate tailgate party pack courtesy of Legends featuring 10 burgers, 10 wraps, and fries. Okay, so what do you have to do? All you got to do is each week, go to our website, go to our KPEL News app, use the entry form to sign up for the week's giveaway. So it's, look, the title is, here's how you can win an ultimate black and gold tailgate party. Easy enough. Okay. So you go, you follow the website, you follow the rules, what it tells you to do, and you'll enter each week. Each week you got to do it. You'll enter the contest to have a shot to win that week's prize package. All right. That's going to do it for the show today. Mark Pope going to be sitting in for Moon as Moon is out for today. And then we'll have a little best of Moon in the 11 o'clock hour. So until then, have a great one.
The Fox Business Report is brought to you by Gulf Coast Bank, your local community bank. Whether your financial needs are for an individual, a business, or for the whole family, Gulf Coast Bank has the knowledge and products to serve you best. With 9 convenient locations throughout Acadiana, you're never far from a friendly Gulf Coast Bank associate.
I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Goldman Sachs economists now say the possibility of a recession in the U.S. next year is down to 15%. The previous estimate was 20%. They say improvements in inflation and the labor market holding up are the reasons. Tyson stepped up chicken production when demand peaked a couple of years ago. Now it's closing 6 plants to cut costs. The Wall Street Journal says demand is flat and wholesale prices are lower. lower. Tyson also has laid off some corporate employees and is making changes to the way it raises birds. Mercedes has unveiled an electric concept car to compete with the Tesla Model 3, and it will travel more miles on a charge. Mercedes says the electric sedan will go 466 miles. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
Starting August 22nd, the U.S. dollar may have new competition from a new global supercurrency backed by Russia and China. And if the dollar plummets, your retirement could follow. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I recommend a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. I encourage you to act before August 22nd. Text SHELTER to 989898 to get your free information kit on gold.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette. Broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios. Online at matthew-james.com.
Spotted again, still on the run. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. 2 school districts in Pennsylvania are closed today because of the manhunt for an escaped murderer who got out of prison 6 days ago. The search area has expanded a bit with Danilo Cavalcante spotted on motion-activated trail camera surveillance video.
This is a little more open. I'm encouraged by the fact that he's there.
State Police Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens. Cavalcante escaped from Chester County Prison about 30 miles west of Philadelphia. More people are making their way out of Burning Man in Nevada. Others sticking it out till the end, 2 days later than scheduled.
Thousands finally escaping Burning Man after getting trapped on festival grounds due to ankle-deep mud that made it virtually impossible to drive through. The scramble to get out causing a 7-hour traffic jam on the single road headed out of the festival grounds. But some of the 64,000 Burning Man attendees plan on staying until tomorrow morning. Officials urging visitors to wait to leave in order to ease congestion. All this after attendees were told to shelter in place and ration their food and water after 2 to 3 months of rain fell in just 24 hours, turning the typically bone-dry grounds into a giant puddle of mud.
Fox's Todd Pyro. Declassified intelligence says North Korean leader Kim Jong-un plans to travel by train to Russia to meet with Russia's President Vladimir Putin.
U.S. officials say Kim Jong-un plans to travel to Russia this month to talk with Putin about supplying weapons for Russia's war in Ukraine, including artillery shells and anti-tank missiles, after the two exchanged letters discussing a possible arms deal. It is not the first time the U.S. has revealed classified information in order to dissuade countries like North Korea and, in the past, China from supplying weapons to Putin.
Fox Jackie Heinrich. President Biden nominates Jacob Lew as U.S. ambassador to Israel. He was White House budget director, chief of staff, then Treasury secretary during the Obama administration. Since then, he's worked in finance and as a professor at Columbia University. Tom Nides left the ambassador post this summer. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close, or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine.
Hey, this is Joe Cunningham, and every weekday on my show, The Joe Cunningham Show, you can tune in for all of today's top news, local, state, and national, plus analysis that you're not going to get anywhere else. All of the big topics from a local perspective right here on The Joe Cunningham Show.